Hello everyone, I'm Sayid Mahmud Abir Talukhdar, and I'll be your guide through the ancient, mysterious, and cosmic world of Babylon. Together, we'll explore the secrets of the turning star, the sleeper, and the cosmic forces that shape this city. Welcome to the Sleep of Babylon, a saga where history, mystery, and cosmic fantasy intertwine. Sit back, immerse yourself in this journey, and prepare to witness a story full of wonder, suspense, and discovery. In the beginning, there was silence, the kind that comes only when the desert holds its breath. Babylon slept. The lamps along the Euphrates had long burned out, leaving behind the faint smell of oil and ash. The city, once roaring with markets, prayers, and drums, now whispered only through the slow pulse of the river. Among the rooftops stood a man, old, lean, his beard silver in the moonlight. His name was Naram, though most in the city simply called him the Sleepless One. He was Babylon's last great astronomer. But he no longer looked at the stars to measure them. He looked to listen. Naram believed that when people slept, their souls drifted upward, past the clouds, past the constellations, and into the realm of the gods. He had spent 40 years writing what he called the language of sleep, clay tablets filled with symbols, dreams, and the positions of stars. Every night, he told his apprentice, "The gods whisper. We just forget what they said by morning." His apprentice, Amida, was only 17. She did not believe in the gods the way Naram did. To her, the stars were burning stones, not voices. But she watched him anyway, because there was something peaceful in the way he stared at the sky. Every night, Naram climbed the ziggurat's final step and sat cross-legged before a bronze bowl of still water. He would watch the stars reflected on its surface until his eyes grew heavy. Then, as sleep pulled him under, he whispered, "Show me the dream of the city." In his dreams, Babylon never slept. The streets were lit with torches that never burned out. The river sang. The gods spoke not in thunder, but in sighs. "Naram," they said, "you seek us in the heavens, but we live in the quiet between your breaths." He always woke before dawn, sweating, his heart beating fast, like someone had whispered his name in his ear. Babylon's king had long stopped calling for Naram. New priests, younger and hungrier, had taken his place. But villagers still came to him at night, asking what their dreams meant. One brought a dream of fire, another a dream of falling walls. Naram wrote everyone down, marking the date, the moon's shape, and the position of the planet Ishtar. He no longer interpreted them. He only recorded. "The gods," he said, "are making a map out of our sleep." That same night, Amida had a dream. She saw a great flood washing through the city, lifting the ziggurat into the sky. When she woke, the stars were still moving, but slower, as if holding their breath. She ran to Naram's chamber. "Master, I dreamed of water." He nodded slowly. "Then the gods are thirsty." Outside, the air was changing. The river had dropped, the ground dry and cracked. The priests called for sacrifices. The merchants whispered of omens. And in the distance, a dust storm gathered red as blood. Amida stood beside Naram on the temple roof. "Do you think this is the end?" she asked. He did not answer. His eyes were fixed on the stars. "Look closer," he said softly. "They are not dying. They are turning away." When the storm hit Babylon, it came like nightfall. Sand filled every street, every window, every mouth. People screamed and prayed. But Naram did not move. He sat beneath the roaring sky, eyes closed, lips moving. "Listen," he whispered. "Do you hear them?" Amida heard nothing, only the wind. But for a moment, she thought she saw shapes in the storm, like faces, half-formed, drifting between the grains of sand. Then darkness swallowed everything. When the storm passed, half the city was buried. The ziggurat stood, but barely. Naram was gone. Amida searched for him among the ruins, until she found only his bronze bowl, filled again with still water. She looked into it. The reflection was not her face, but the stars, as if the night sky had sunk into the bowl itself. That night, Amida began to write. "The gods," she wrote, "do not live in the heavens. They live in our dreams, waiting for us to fall asleep again." And so she continued Naram's work, not as a student, but as the last listener of Babylon. The storm had passed, but Babylon did not breathe for many days. Every morning, the city woke slowly, as if afraid to remember what had happened. The air tasted of dust. The temples stood like broken teeth above the half-buried streets. And the people moved like shadows, sweeping sand from doorways only to watch the night winds carry it back again. Amida walked through these streets with Naram's tablets wrapped in linen against her chest. She held them the way a frightened child holds a lamp, too tightly, as if afraid the darkness might swallow it whole. The city without dreams. First, she tried to look for her master. She searched the ziggurat's collapsed stairway, the broken courtyard, the roof where he used to sit each night. She asked the priests. She asked the fishermen. She even asked the children who played near the river, carving little boats from pieces of driftwood. No one had seen him. No one had heard him call out. It was as though the storm had simply taken him. And yet, in every place she looked, she found only one thing: silence. A strange, heavy silence, as if the city had forgotten how to dream. People complained of restless nights. Babies cried without reason. The priests whispered that the gods had turned their faces away. The empty sky. Nights came. The stars returned, but they felt different. Amida sat on the ziggurat roof, alone now, holding Naram's bronze bowl. She filled it with water, watched the sky shimmer on its surface, and whispered, "Master, if you can hear me, show me what you saw." But the bowl stayed still. No voices came, no whispers of gods, only the faint sound of the river dragging silt through the broken docks. The stranger at the gate. On the 7th night after the storm, a traveler arrived at Babylon's northern gate. He was not from the city. He wore the linen robe of a wanderer, his feet covered in dust, his eyes sharp like someone who had slept too little and seen too much. He approached Amida as she sat among the scattered tablets. "You are Naram's apprentice," he said. She froze. "How do you know that?" The man lowered himself to sit beside her, leaving a respectful distance. "Because I saw him," he whispered, "before the storm, on the road to Borsippa." Amida felt her breath catch. "He left Babylon? For a night," the man said. "Only a night." He carried nothing but a clay tablet and a bowl of water. Her fingers tightened on the bronze bowl in her lap. "Did he speak to you?" The traveler nodded. He said, "When the city sleeps without dreaming, follow the one who remains awake." The words struck her like a blow. "What does that mean?" The man shook his head. "I don't know, but he seemed afraid." Naram afraid. She had never seen such a thing. The tablets of sleep. When the traveler was gone, Amida unwrapped Naram's tablets one by one. They were older than she realized. Some of the symbols did not belong to Babylon. Some looked like dreams carved into wet clay, their edges soft, their meaning drifting like smoke. But tablet 37 stopped her heart. It read, "When the stars turn their faces, Babylon will forget its dreams. One must listen in the silence." Amida traced the carvings with her fingers. The stars turning their faces. She looked up at the sky. It looked normal, but it didn't feel normal. The constellations were there, but subtly wrong. As if something had been nudged, shifted, moved while no one was watching. When Babylon stopped sleeping, that night, Amida went to the river to fill the water bowl. She found a group of women crying softly. "What's wrong?" Amida asked. One of them lifted her head and said, "We cannot sleep, none of us. When we close our eyes, we see nothing. No dreams, only darkness." Another woman whispered, "It is as though the night has turned hollow." Amida felt a chill crawl up her spine. Naram had warned her. When the city sleeps without dreaming, something terrible was coming. The rumor of the marked men. Days passed, and then came the rumors. A merchant swore he saw a group of men walking the desert at night, their shadows long, their faces hidden behind veils. A shepherd claimed they did not sink into the sand when they walked. A fisherman said he saw them kneeling along the riverbank, touching the water without leaving ripples. Amida listened, her heart twisting. Naram had once described such men to her in a whisper. Dreamwalkers, he called them. Men who walked between sleep and waking. Men who listened to the gods more clearly than any priest. Men who appeared only when the balance between dream and reality had begun to unravel. The night they came, Amida did not sleep. She sat beside the bronze bowl, watching the stars tremble on the surface. And then, footsteps, soft, slow, deliberate. She turned. 3 men stood at the edge of the roof. The wind did not move their cloaks. The shadows did not bend around their feet. Their faces were masked by linen veils, each marked with a symbol she recognized from Naram's tablets, the sign of the silent star. The tallest one stepped forward. "You carry the listener's work," he said. His voice was calm, almost gentle, but it echoed strangely, as if spoken twice. "Where is Naram?" Amida swallowed. "Gone." The man nodded once. "Then the burden passes to you." "The burden?" Amida shook her head. "No, I don't understand his work. I only wrote what he told me." The man lifted a finger. "You don't need to understand the sky." He stepped closer. "You only need to listen." The second man knelt beside her and touched the edge of the bronze bowl. The surface rippled, though the wind was still. "Something approaches," he whispered. "Something that lives in dreams but hungers for waking minds." Amida's throat tightened. "What do you want from me?" The tallest man's answer was simple. "To keep Babylon dreaming. The lesson of night." The dreamwalkers stayed with her that night. They taught her how to breathe slowly, how to watch the stars without looking directly at them, how to let the silence between sounds become a language. "Sleep," they said, "is not weakness. It is the doorway." "To what?" she whispered. "To everything you have forgotten." Amida closed her eyes, and for the first time since the storm, she dreamed. The first dream. She stood in a vast desert of white sand. The sky above was not blue, but deep, shimmering black, filled with stars that pulsed like living hearts. She felt small, like a grain of dust. But then she heard a voice, familiar, gentle. "Amita." She turned. Naram stood before her, younger than she remembered, his eyes bright, his hands steady. "Master," he smiled, the way a father smiles when seeing a child after a long journey. "You finally found the doorway," he said. "Where are you?" she asked. "Are you alive?" Naram sighed. "I am between." "Between what?" "Sleep and waking, life and memory, the gods and men." He lifted a hand and touched her forehead. "I cannot return, but you can follow." Amida felt her lungs tighten. Follow where? Into the dream of Babylon. The desert shook beneath them. Naram stepped back. "Wake up," he whispered, and the world shattered. The message. Amida woke with a gasp, the dreamwalker standing over her. "What did you see?" the leader asked. She pressed a hand to her chest. "He spoke to me. Naram spoke to me." The man's eyes widened slightly behind the veil. "Then Babylon still has time." Amida looked at the bowl. The water was swirling on its own, forming the same symbol from tablet 37. The turning star. Something was coming. Something only she could hear. The dreamwalkers bowed their heads. "Prepare yourself, listener," their leader said softly. "The next dream will not be gentle." Amida did not sleep the night after the storm. She sat beside the bronze bowl, the same bowl Naram and Lil had guarded for decades. The stars inside its reflection felt different now, sharper, brighter, as if the sky had slipped a little closer to the earth. And yet, the city around her was silent, covered in sand, breathing like a wounded animal. The silence was the part she feared most, because silence meant listening. And something was beginning to speak. It started faintly, like a soft vibration in the base of her skull. Not a sound, more like the pressure of a thought that wasn't hers. Amida pressed her hand to her temple. The feeling grew stronger. No words, just presence. a presence that had been sleeping beneath Babylon long before she was born, long before Naram was born, long before the ziggurat had touched the sky. She whispered into the darkness, "Who's there?" Her voice vanished into the empty streets below. No echo returned, but the feeling answered. It moved through her chest, slow and cold, like water rising. In the morning, the survivors began digging the city out of the sand. People cried, argued, blamed themselves, blamed the priests, blamed the gods, anyone and anything they could. But the dust had not only buried their homes, it had buried their certainty too. Inside the temple, priests argued with each other. "It was not an omen," one shouted. "It was the wrath of Ishtar," another screamed. "No, the storm was ordinary, a desert wind." Then why did the astronomer vanish? Naram's disappearance had already turned into rumor. Some said he had been taken by the gods. Some said he had finally fallen asleep and never woken. Some said the storm swallowed him whole. Amida said nothing, because deep inside, she felt something no one else did. Naram wasn't gone. He had simply moved somewhere she could not see. Not upward, not downward, somewhere between. All day, as the people worked, Amida kept feeling that strange presence. Just behind her thoughts, just beyond her breathing. A distant pulse, steady and patient. It was waiting, watching, following. She tried to ignore it, but ignoring it felt like ignoring the sun. Impossible. At sunset, she climbed the ziggurat alone. The bowl sat where she had left it, filled with water that had not dried even in the burning heat. That itself was impossible. Water in Babylon vanished quickly. But not this, not the bowl of stars. Amida leaned over it. The reflected sky shimmered like something alive. She whispered, "Master, if you can hear me, show me what you saw." For the first time since the storm, the water moved. Not like wind, not like heat. A ripple, small, deliberate, almost like the bowl itself breathed. Then the whisper came. A real whisper this time. Soft, steady, male, a familiar tone. "Amida." She froze. Her heart slammed against her ribs. "Master." Another ripple. Then silence. But not empty silence. Heavy silence. Like someone on the other side was trying to push through. Her voice trembled. "What do you want me to do?" The wind answered for him. Cold, unnatural, swirling around her in a slow spiral. And then she understood. He wasn't speaking with a voice anymore. He was speaking with dreams. That night, Amida slept for the first time in 2 days. She didn't mean to. Her body simply collapsed from exhaustion. And the moment she fell asleep, she was not in Babylon. She was standing on a vast plain of white clay tiles stretching endlessly in every direction. Above her, the sky was black. No stars, no moon, no clouds. Just blackness thick as ink. In the distance, she saw a figure. Thin, old, barefoot. He stood with his back to her, hands clasped behind him, staring into the darkness. "Master!" He didn't turn. She walked toward him, the tiles echoing softly under her feet. When she reached him, she realized he was not breathing. He had no shadow, and he didn't blink. "Master, please." Finally, he spoke. Not with lips, with thought. "The stars are leaving." Amida swallowed. "Why?" "Because Babylon has stopped listening." She felt her chest tighten. "Where are we? Between waking and sleeping. Are you dead?" A pause. "Not yet." Her eyes filled with tears. "I don't understand." Naram's form flickered, like a lantern fighting the wind. "You must finish the map." "What map?" "The map of dreams. The one the gods began." Amida shook her head. "I can't. I don't hear them the way you do." "You will." "How?" "Because something is coming." Her heart froze. "What is coming?" Naram turned toward her at last. But his face wasn't a face anymore. It was a swirl of stars, like a small galaxy trying to take shape. Through that shifting light, a single word formed. Awakening. The ground cracked beneath her feet. Light burst through the tiles, and she fell deeper and deeper until she hit her own body and woke with a choking gasp. She sat upright, sweating, trembling, struggling to breathe. The presence in her mind pulsed once. Not threatening, just reminding. It was still there, still waiting, still watching. The next morning, she walked through the ruined marketplace. Children clung to their mothers. Merchants dragged broken carts. Temple guards shouted orders no one obeyed. Inside the noise and fear, Amida felt the presence more strongly than ever. But now it wasn't just watching her. It was watching everyone. It moved like a wind through the crowd, tasting their fear, drifting between their thoughts, searching for something, for someone. A little girl started crying. Her mother tried to hush her, but the girl kept pointing at Amida. "She glows," the child said. Amida froze. Children often saw things adults couldn't. "What is glowing, little one?" The girl whispered. "Your shadow." Amida turned. Her shadow was normal, but to the girl it wasn't. Amida knelt, gently cupping the child's cheeks. "What does it look like?" The girl whispered. "Another person." A chill crawled up Amida's spine. Someone, or something, was standing inside her shadow. By midday, Babylon's priests had summoned the people to the temple courtyard. Their voices trembled as they announced a new decree. All dream records are now forbidden. All tablets of prophecy will be seized. Any person who claims to hear omens shall report to the temple. Amida's breath caught. They were outlawing dreams, destroying Naram's life's work, destroying her work now. People murmured nervously. Someone shouted, "What about the astronomer's apprentice?" Dozens of eyes turned toward her. The priest stepped forward. The girl must surrender Naram and Lil's writings. Amida clenched her jaw. They wanted the dream tablets, the bowls, the maps, Naram's symbols, everything, because they were afraid. And fear makes men destroy what they don't understand. She shook her head. "No." The courtyard went silent. The head priest glared at her. "You defy the temple?" Amida met his eyes. "I follow the same gods you claim to serve, but I listen to them. That is the difference." Gasps spread through the crowd. The priest's face darkened. "You speak blasphemy." But before he could order her arrest, the presence inside Amida surged. A wave of cold rippled through the courtyard. People shivered. The wind died. Birds went silent. The priest stumbled backward, terrified. Amida didn't move. The presence wasn't harming her. It was protecting her. That night, for the first time, she spoke to it. She sat beside the bronze bowl, touching the water's surface lightly with one fingertip. "I know you're listening," she whispered. A ripple. "I know you're waiting." Another ripple. "Tell me what you want." The water stilled, completely still. Then, a single star appeared in the bowl's reflection. Only one. Not the whole sky, just one. Bright, moving, turning slowly in place. Amida recognized it. It was the same star Naram had spent 40 years studying. The star, he said, held the gate between sleep and waking. The star the priests hated. The star Babylon feared. She breathed softly. The turning star. The presence pulsed again, stronger this time. Then she heard it for the first time. A whisper. Not Naram. Not the wind. Something older. Something deeper. Something that did not speak in language. It spoke in feeling. In weight. In certainty. And the meaning of the whisper was simple. Follow. Amida didn't know what the whisper meant, or where it wanted her to go. But she knew one thing. The turning star had chosen her. Not the priests. Not the king. Not even Naram in the end. Her. A girl who once doubted everything, but now could not escape the presence that refused to leave her mind. That night, she packed only 3 things. Naram's final tablet, the bronze bowl, and a small knife she hoped she would never need. Babylon lay behind her, half buried under the memory of the storm. Ahead of her stretched the long road toward the temple district, where the astronomers once kept their ancient archives. The whisper had said only one word, follow. But follow what? A star? A dream? A ghost? Or herself? She didn't know. Yet her feet moved, steady as the pulse inside her skull. The night air outside the city gates was colder than she expected. Not the usual desert cold, sharper, almost metallic. The kind of cold that made the hairs on her arms rise without reason. Above her, the sky glowed unnaturally clear. The turning star hung low on the horizon, brighter than she had ever seen it before. But something else was wrong. The other stars seemed afraid of it. They kept their distance. Even the moon dimmed slightly as she walked. Amida didn't stop. She followed the star as if someone had tied a string from her chest to the light in the sky. Every few steps, she felt the presence inside her react. A pulse, a tug, a guiding pressure. It wasn't speaking, but it was directing her path. After an hour, she reached the old astronomer's courtyard. Abandoned for years, after the priests declared dreams dangerous. Wind had eaten away the stone walls. The great bronze doors were half collapsed. Sand filled the corridors like drifting ghosts. Yet as she stepped inside, the air changed. Heavy, dense, quiet in a way that felt alive. Her footsteps echoed too loudly. Her breathing sounded too close, as if the building itself were listening. She whispered, "Master, if you're here, show me." No answer. But the presence inside her grew larger. Not threatening, not comforting, just a vast, like standing beside an ocean at night. She pushed open the inner gate. The old star chamber lay before her, circular, domed, with an opening in the ceiling where ancient astronomers once charted the heavens. Moonlight streamed in a perfect column onto the floor. Dust floated gently through it, like tiny stars caught mid-fall. Amida stepped into the light, and the moment she did, the presence surged. The turning star above the dome flared brighter. Her breath caught. The air around her thickened, shimmering like heat. Then the whisper came again. Not from the bowl, not from the wind, not from her dream, from everywhere at once. Follow. The floor beneath her feet vibrated. A faint pattern glowed, a circle of carved symbols long forgotten by Babylon. But she recognized them. Naram had copied the same symbols for 40 years. "They're dream marks," she whispered. "Gates." The symbols burned brighter. Then the center of the floor, the moonlit stone, cracked. A single line at first, then another. Then a circle formed, perfectly smooth, as if drawn by invisible hands. Amida stumbled backward. The stone lifted, slowly, silently, as if gravity had forgotten it existed. Beneath the stone was darkness. Not ordinary dark, a swirling, pulsing dark, like a pool of ink alive with movement. The presence whispered again. "Follow." She took a single step toward the glowing edge. Her heart pounded. Her throat tightened. Her palms trembled. "Where?" she whispered. "Where are you taking me?" The whisper answered, "Down." Amida stumbled back. Down? Into a pit? Into the earth? Into darkness that felt like it breathed? She shook her head. "No, I can't go down there. I don't know what it is." The whisper pressed harder. Not painful, but irresistible. A hand without fingers. A push without touch. "Follow." Amida wanted to scream. "I am not like Naram. I'm not ready. I don't understand anything yet." The whisper slowed, softened, became warm. Then she felt something she had not felt since the night before the storm. Naram's presence. Faint, distant, but unmistakable. His calm, his patience, his listening. She whispered, "Master, are you there?" The warmth pulsed once. "Yes." "Where are you?" A pause. "Between." Amida's breath trembled. "Between." The same word he had used in the dream. The place between waking and sleeping. The place humans touched for only seconds each night. The place gods lived in shadows. She looked down into the swirling dark beneath the lifted stone. "Is that where you are?" Another pulse. "Yes." "Why must I follow?" "Because you're the only one who can." Her throat tightened. "The only one who can what?" "Finish." The word slammed into her mind with the weight of an entire night sky. Finish the map. Finish the work. Finish what Babylon had forgotten. She closed her eyes. When she opened them again, she wasn't afraid. Still trembling, still confused. Yes, but not afraid. She stepped to the edge of the opening. The swirling darkness shimmered like a mirror made of night. She reached out her hand. The air above the pit was cold, unnaturally cold. Yet it didn't hurt. Her fingers passed through the shimmering dark like passing through water. But the water pulled back, pulling her with it. Follow. Her foot slipped. The stone trembled. She fell forward, into the darkness. There was no impact, no pain, just weightlessness. Soft, gentle, like drifting through deep river water. She opened her eyes. There was no up, no down, no light, no shape, only drifting, only breathing, only listening. Her heartbeat echoed like thunder in the vast silence. Then, a single star appeared in the distance. The turning star. Except, not in the sky. Inside the darkness. Floating, turning, beckoning. Amida drifted toward it without moving her body. As she approached, the star expanded. Larger and larger until it filled her entire vision. Then she understood. It wasn't a star. It was a door of light, shaped like a star only from far away. As she drifted through it, she saw Babylon below her, but not the Babylon she knew. A Babylon of dreams, a Babylon made of soft light, a Babylon where shadows breathed like living things. She saw Naram standing on the highest tower, except he wasn't entirely human. Parts of him shimmered like constellations forming and dissolving. She whispered, "Master!" He turned. His face flickered between human and starlight. Amita drifted beside him. He spoke into her mind. "You followed." She nodded. "What is this place?" "The dream of Babylon." "Whose dream?" "Everyone's." He pointed toward the glowing city below. Every house shimmered faintly. Every rooftop flickered. Every shadow pulsed. Every window hummed softly. All of Babylon was dreaming at once. Even those awake. Even those afraid. Even those who claimed not to believe. Naram's voice whispered inside her. "This is what the priests fear." She swallowed. "What do they fear?" "That dreams are real." He looked at her, or the star-light version of him did. And then he said the words that changed everything. "And they fear you most of all." Amida felt the presence inside her pulse violently. Not threatening. Not angry. Revealing. She finally spoke the question she was afraid to ask. "Why me?" Naram's answer was simple. Because the gods chose someone who listens. The darkness trembled around them. Amida's heartbeat slowed. Her fear softened. Her breathing steadied. And for the first time, she asked the presence directly, "What do you want me to do?" The answer came not in a whisper, but in a voice that filled the entire dream sky. "Wake Babylon." The dream shattered. Amida fell backward and opened her eyes to the star chamber floor. The pit was gone. The stone sealed. The turning star burned overhead. And the presence inside her whispered one final word. "Begin." The desert was still shaking. Not violently, not loudly, but with a slow, rhythmic tremor, as if something ancient beneath the sand was taking its first breath after thousands of silent years. Ellora stood on a dune overlooking the valley where the first seal had cracked. Her heartbeat was still unsteady, her breath thin from running, and her arm, that strange, glowing sigil that had appeared the night the turning star awakened, was pulsing like a second heartbeat. She pressed a hand against it, wincing. It didn't hurt. Felt aware of her, almost listening. Wind brushed across the dunes, whispering through grains of sand like 1,000 tiny voices. Babylon lay far behind her, its torches flickering faintly at the edge of the horizon. But between her and the city, the desert no longer felt like ordinary ground. Something had changed. Something old and buried had risen halfway into the world. She could feel it. She could hear it. A low hum, deep and resonant, like a memory vibrating against the bones of the earth. And the turning star above her, it was no longer turning slowly. Its rotation had doubled. This glow had sharpened. This presence felt closer, almost oppressive, as if the sky itself were leaning down to listen. Ellora took a shaky breath. She had never been a priest. never been a scholar. She wasn't even a respected member of the city. She was a quiet girl from a quiet street, a weaver's apprentice, a nobody in the giant, roaring machine of Babylonian life. She never wanted the sky to look back at her. But now it did. A soft crunch of sand made her turn. A figure approached, slow, deliberate, leaning on a carved wooden staff. Nabusin, the oldest living scholar of the Temple of Nannar. A man whose face had more wrinkles than uncracked clay tablets in the archive. A man who spoke rarely, and only when something mattered. He stopped a few feet away from her. His old eyes moved from Elora to her glowing arm, then to the cracked seal in the distance. He exhaled, and the sound carried a weight older than her lifetime. "Child," he said quietly, "you have awakened it." Elora felt her throat tighten. I didn't mean to. I only touched the stone when it... You misunderstand." Nabusin interrupted gently. "You did not choose this. The star chose you." Elora stepped back. No, I don't want this. I want my life back. I want to go home. She stopped, because the ground beneath them trembled again, and the turning star flared. Nabusin raised his staff, steady despite his age. "The first seal has opened," he said. "The barrier between our world and the sleeper's voice grows thin." Elora swallowed hard. "Who is the sleeper?" "The one buried beneath the desert," the old scholar whispered. "The one who dreamt the first cities into existence. The one whose dreams became our rivers, our stories, our gods." He looked at the sky, "and whose awakening could unmake all of them." Elora felt an icy pressure at the base of her spine. She suddenly wished she had never stepped into the desert, never followed the strange whisper in her dreams, never felt the turning star call her name. But the world rarely cared what she wished. The desert trembled again, this time louder. A ripple traveled across the sand like a wave, a silent roar in motion, and it passed beneath their feet, lifting the ground just slightly, before fading into the dark distance. Nabusin braced himself against his staff. "It grows stronger," he murmured. "The sleeper stirs." Elora stared at her arm as the sigil pulsed again. "What does this mean?" she whispered. "What am I supposed to do?" The scholar looked at her the way a man looks at a storm approaching from the horizon. With fear, yes, but with acceptance too. "You," he said softly, "were born with the mark of the listener." Elora blinked. "The what?" "The listener," Nabusin repeated. "One who can hear the sleeper's dreams. One chosen by the turning star to hold the ancient memory of Babylon." He sighed. "We hoped such a person would never appear again." Elora's mouth went dry. Again, there had been others? Before she could speak, the wind shifted suddenly, violently, a gust from nowhere, hot and sharp, biting her skin like tiny grains of glass. Sand lifted into the air in a spiraling column not far from them. Nabusin grabbed Elora's arm. "Do not look directly into the sandstorm," he warned. But Elora couldn't look away, because she could see something forming inside the swirling dust. A shape, a shimmer, a flicker of something that was not human, and not entirely real. A figure, tall, thinner than bone, moving like a shadow bending through water. The voice reached her first, not through her ears, through her bones, through the glowing sigil on her arm, through the part of her that was no longer hers. "Elora!" Her breath caught. She staggered, grabbing her chest as the voice curled inside her like smoke. She heard Nabusin shout something, a warning, prayer. She couldn't tell, because the voice grew louder. "Elora, come closer." Her feet moved without permission. One step, then another. Nabusin seized her arm, but she barely felt it. The voice wrapped around her mind like silk threads tightening. "You opened the way. You must finish what was begun." Elora gasped, tearing her arm free from Nabusin's grip. "And no," she whispered to the empty air, "I didn't open anything. I don't want this." But the voice only deepened. "It is too late." The sandstorm cracked like lightning, and the figure inside it suddenly leaned forward, its face inches from hers, though it had no eyes, no mouth, no shape she could fully understand. Nabusin thrust his staff into the ground. A shock wave of white light burst outward like a ring, ripping through the sandstorm. The shadowy figure recoiled, dissolving upward into the sky like smoke fleeing the wind. Elora collapsed to her knees. Her arm burned, bright white, the sigil twisting violently under her skin. Nabusin knelt beside her, gripping her shoulders. "Listen to me," he said firmly. "You must fight its voice. If the sleeper enters your mind fully, you will no longer be yourself." Elora stared at the cracked seal in the valley below. "I don't want this," she whispered again. Nabusin closed his eyes. "Child, none of us do." The turning star flickered, once, twice, as if watching. Its rotation slowed again, almost waiting. Elora finally lifted her head. "What happens now?" she whispered. The old scholar rose to his feet, leaning heavily on his staff. "Now," he said, "we go to the city." He looked toward Babylon's distant walls. "The priests must know the sleeper stirs. And you," he paused, "you must learn why it chose you." Elora shivered. The desert trembled again, and far beneath their feet, something enormous rolled in its sleep. The journey back toward Babylon was slow, not because the distance was great, but because the desert no longer moved naturally. Every few minutes, Elora felt a small vibration beneath the soles of her feet, a faint, rhythmic pulse, like the heartbeat of a giant creature buried in the deep. Nabusin walked beside her, leaning heavily on his staff. He had wrapped a strip of cloth around her glowing arm to hide the sigil, but the faint light still leaked through the fabric like moonlight behind clouds. Neither of them spoke for a long time. The silence wasn't peaceful. It was waiting. As they approached the outer edges of the city's shadow, Elora finally broke the quiet. "Master Nabusin, that thing in the sandstorm, was that the sleeper?" The old scholar slowed. "No," he said quietly. "That was only its echo, a fragment of its dream, half-formed, reaching toward the one who can hear it." Elora's stomach tightened. "So it's dreaming, and I hear the dreams?" Nabusin nodded. "And as it wakes, its dreams will sharpen. They will become louder, clearer, more dangerous." Elora wrapped her arms around herself. "I don't want anything to do with this." "Want has nothing to do with it," the scholar murmured. "You have been marked. Your life is no longer ordinary." Elora stopped walking. "I didn't ask for any of this." Her voice cracked, raw and small in the open desert. Nabusin turned to face her. His expression was not stern, nor angry, just tired. "We never ask for the heavy things," he said softly, "and yet they are placed upon us anyway." Elora looked away, tears stinging her eyes. She wasn't a hero. She wasn't brave. She wasn't chosen. She was trapped. The turning star glowed faintly behind a thin cloud, as if reminding her that the sky hadn't stopped watching. When the walls of Babylon finally loomed before them, Elora felt a strange tension in the air. Guards were gathered at the city gates, torches burning brighter than usual, eyes scanning the desert with restless, nervous energy. One of the guards spotted Nabusin and hurried over. "Master Scholar," he said breathlessly, "there have been tremors throughout the night. The priests have ordered all citizens indoors. The city is unsettled." Nabusin's eyes narrowed. "Has anyone approached the temple of Nanar?" "Yes," the guard replied. "2 high priests. They sealed the upper chambers and—" He stopped mid-sentence, because Elora's wrapped arm had flickered white beneath the cloth. The guard's eyes widened. Is she hurt?" Before Elora could respond, Nabusin stepped forward. "She is under my protection," he said firmly. "No questions. Not now." The guard hesitated, then nodded quickly and stepped aside. Elora kept her arm close to her chest as they passed through the gates. Inside the city, the atmosphere was heavy. People whispered in doorways. Shops were closed. Torches flickered as if constantly troubled by invisible wind. Everyone seemed to sense that something beneath their feet was no longer sleeping peacefully. Nabusin guided Elora through narrow streets toward the towering silhouette of the temple. Elora glanced nervously around. "Why does everyone look so afraid?" she whispered. The old scholar slowed, choosing his words carefully. "Because tremors in the desert," he paused, "often mean one thing." "What?" "An awakening." Elora's pulse quickened. "You mean the sleeper?" "Yes," Nabusin said. "Legends speak of it. They say the sleeper's dreams created the first rivers, but its awakening can swallow them." Elora swallowed. "And Babylon knows this?" "Babylon remembers everything," he said. "History is carved into its bones." When they reached the base of the temple, Elora felt the air thicken, as if the very stones were holding their breath. The Temple of Nannar was the tallest structure in the city, its white brick walls catching the faint glow of the turning star. 2 high priests stood at the entrance. Their robes were pristine, their faces stern, their eyes sharp. One of them, tall, bald, his face carved in permanent disapproval, stepped forward. "Nabusin," he said, "we felt the tremor from the seal's chamber. Tell us what you found." The old scholar bowed slightly. "The first seal has cracked," he said quietly. "The desert stirs." A ripple of fear flickered between the priests. "And the girl?" the bald priest asked, his gaze falling on Elora. "She is the listener," Nabusin said. The priests froze. A full second passed before either of them spoke. "That is impossible," the shorter priest whispered. "That line ended during the reign of King Asherel." Nabusin put a hand on Elora's shoulder. "It seems she was born outside the line, chosen directly by the star itself." The bald priest's eyes sharpened. "Show us." Nabusin looked at Elora. She hesitated, but she slowly unwound the cloth wrapped around her arm. The sigil beneath it pulsed. Slow, white, warm, like a living thing. Both priests inhaled sharply. "The mark is authentic," the tall priest muttered. "Unmistakable." The shorter priest stepped closer. "Child," he said, "when did this appear?" Elora swallowed. "The night the turning star began moving." Both priests exchanged a silent, fearful glance. Finally, the bald priest spoke. "Bring her inside. Now." The temple's interior was dim, lit by oil lamps and flickering candles. The floors were smooth, polished stone. A faint scent of frankincense lingered in the air. Elora followed as the priests led them deeper into the sacred halls, past carved murals of gods and stars, past silent rooms filled with ancient tablets. Finally, they entered a circular chamber at the heart of the temple. A massive stone disk dominated the floor, a replica of the cosmic map. Lines carved across it formed constellations, rivers of stars, and a great spiral in the center. The bald priest gestured. "Stand there." Elora stepped onto the disk. Immediately, her sigil responded, glowing brighter, warmer, as if awakening to something familiar. The priests watched with grim fascination. Nabusin stood close by, ready to steady her if she faltered. The shorter priest stepped forward and spoke softly. "Child, when the sleeper whispered to you, what did it say?" Elora stiffened. "It told me," her voice trembled, "that I opened the way." The priests exchanged another fearful glance. "And?" the bald priest urged. "Did it say anything else?" Elora hesitated. "It said," she took a slow breath, "that I must finish what was begun." The room fell completely silent. Even the flame of the nearest candle seemed to stop moving. The bald priest stepped back, whispering to himself, "Then the prophecies were true." Nabusin frowned. "What prophecy?" The shorter priest looked at Elora, not with anger, but with sorrow. "The listener awakens the sleeper," he said quietly, "and the sleeper awakens the sky." Elora's heartbeat stuttered. "The sky?" she whispered. "What does that mean?" The bald priest met her eyes. "It means the world as you know it is about to change." The ground vibrated again, this time strong enough to rattle the lamps on the walls. A deep, Distant rumbling echoed from beneath the city. Dust drifted down from the ceiling. The priests tensed. Nabusin gripped his staff. Elora clutched the edge of the stone disc to keep her balance. And then, the turning star flashed through the open skylight above them. A blinding pulse of white that spilled down onto Elora's arm. The sigil erupted with light. Elora gasped, her entire body jolting, as a new sensation flooded into her mind. A dream, not hers, not human. A dream larger than the desert, darker than the night, older than Babylon. A dream shifting awake. And in the dream, something enormous opened a single ancient eye. Its gaze fell on her. Its voice rolled through her skull like thunder. Elora, the second seal calls you. Her eyes flew open, the light in her arm blazing white. Nabusin shouted her name, but Elora couldn't hear him, because the sleeper was fully awake now, and calling her deeper, calling her to the next seal, calling her to the edge of the world. The shifting dunes of Babylon's outer desert glowed red under the leaning sun, and the wind carried a sharp, whispering howl, almost like voices buried beneath centuries of sand. Arya walked slowly, her boots sinking into the hot grains, while Nahir followed just a few steps behind, constantly glancing at the sky. The turning star had begun to appear earlier each evening, and every time it rose, Arya felt something inside her chest tremble, like an echo calling her name. Arya, Nahir's voice pulled her back. The star will rise soon. We need shelter before the sandstorm hits. Arya nodded, though her thoughts drifted again to the visions. The crumbling Babylonian ziggurat, the chanting priests, the massive stone ring turning like gears of the universe. And in the middle of it all, she still didn't understand what the star wanted from her. Why she could hear the whispers. Why she was the only one who dreamed of the ancient ritual. But she was sure of one thing. Someone or something was guiding her. They reached the old excavation site where their ancestors once unearthed fragments of the celestial machine, a device believed to be capable of bending cosmic time. Now it was nothing more than rusted metal bones, half-buried, forgotten. But tonight, the air around it felt alive. Nahir sensed it too. Do you hear it? Arya whispered. He swallowed. I hear something, like humming. Arya stepped forward, and a sudden shockwave pulsed from the ground. Nahir stumbled back while Arya remained frozen, her eyes glowing faintly silver. The ground beneath her shifted. A stone tile cracked open, and from the darkness below, a staircase revealed itself. Nahir stared in disbelief. This wasn't here before. It was waiting, Arya said softly, for the star to turn. And for me. They descended into the underground chamber lit by faint blue lines running across the stone walls, patterns identical to those in Arya's dreams. The deeper they walked, the louder the whispering became. Arya, daughter of the star, return what was broken. A massive circular door stood at the chamber's end. It was covered in carvings of Babylonian gods, Ishtar, Marduk, Nabu, and at the center was the turning star symbol. Arya approached the door, her hand lifted on its own, as though pulled by fate. The moment her palm touched the center, everything flashed white. The vision. She stood in ancient Babylon, but the sky was wrong. Black, swirling, torn open by silver threads of light. Priests chanted around her. Two cosmic mirrors rotated above a glowing pit, and the turning star hung low, larger than the moon. A masked priest approached her. You carry the echo, he said, the last fragment of the celestial machine. If the star completes its turn without the echo restored, the cycle ends, and Babylon will awaken again in the present world. Arya's voice shook. But why me? Because you were born on the night the star shifted out of alignment. You carry its resonance. The priest handed her a luminous fragment, perfectly shaped like a gear. Restore the machine, he said, or time will shatter. Arya gasped awake inside the chamber. She was lying on the ground, Nahir shaking her. Arya, I thought something happened to you. She sat up slowly. I know what we have to do. She reached into her pocket. The gear fragment, from the vision was in her hand. Nahir stepped back. How did you? That's impossible. Arya looked at the giant door again. The turning star symbol glowed brightly now, reacting to the fragment she carried. The star was turning faster. Lightning cracked across the sky above the chamber. The ground vibrated like a sleeping giant waking up. Something ancient was coming alive. Help me, Arya said, extending the gear toward the door. Together, they pressed it into the central slot. The chamber roared. The stone rings above them started spinning, matching the path of the turning star in the sky. The celestial machine awakened. Beams of silver light shot upward through the cracks, piercing the clouds. For a second, Arya saw Babylon. Floating, time-split, half in ruins, half alive. But the machine was unstable. The rings shook violently. A shockwave blasted through the chamber. Nahir yelled, "It's overloading. We need to shut it down." Arya shook her head. "If we stop it now, the star completes its cycle without alignment, and everything will collapse across timelines. So what do we do?" Arya stepped into the heart of the machine. The light wrapped around her like a cocoon. The machine needed a resonance bearer. The echo wasn't the gear, it was her. "Arya, no." Nahir tried to run toward her, but a barrier of light pushed him back. Arya closed her eyes. The whispers grew louder. "Restore us. Complete the turn. You are the bridge." She raised her hands. The rings aligned. The beam stabilized. The star froze mid-turn, suspended between moments. A gateway opened in the air above the machine. A swirling void of ancient Babylon and the modern world merging. Arya felt herself drifting. "Will I come back?" she whispered into the light. A voice answered, "You will return, but not as the same Arya." The chamber exploded in white, and everything went silent. Aftermath. Nahir woke on the desert floor under a starlit sky. The chamber was gone, buried. The machine no longer glowed. The star looked normal again. But Arya, she was nowhere. Only a single silver feather remained where she once stood, shining with the symbol of the turning star. Nahir picked it up, tears burning in his eyes. "Arya, where are you?" Far above, unseen, the turning star flickered once, almost like it was answering him. And in a place beyond time, Arya opened her eyes and saw Babylon reborn. The desert had returned to a deceptive calm. The wind whispered faintly, carrying dust across the dunes. But the sense of expectation lingered like a heartbeat in the sand. Nahir stood on the edge of the old excavation site, the silver feather clutched tightly in his hand. He felt it hum faintly, a resonance only he could sense, a whisper of Arya's presence. He had hoped she would return immediately, but the turning star's choice was not so simple. Night fell, and the star rose slowly above the horizon, silver and brilliant, casting shadows that stretched unnaturally across the dunes. Nahir could almost feel Arya's consciousness reaching toward him, trying to communicate. A soft crunch behind him made him turn sharply. From the shadows emerged an old woman, her robes tattered, eyes glinting with the faint light of the turning star. "You hold the echo," she said softly, almost a whisper. "Do you know what it means?" Nahir shook his head. "Then you are not ready," she replied. "But it is too late to turn back." Before he could ask her name, a ripple moved across the desert floor. It wasn't wind. It wasn't sand. Something stirred beneath the earth. A deep, ancient presence that pulsed in time with the turning star above. The woman lifted her hand, pointing toward the horizon where the desert met the city walls of Babylon. "The sleeper is awake," she said, "and it remembers." Nahir's heart skipped a beat. The memory of the underground chamber, the glowing rings, and Arya standing in the heart of the celestial machine returned vividly. But now he felt a deeper connection. The sleeper's awakening was spreading beyond the desert. A faint shimmer appeared above the dunes, a wave of light, like a reflection of the star itself, moving toward the city. Nahir squinted. In its midst, a silhouette emerged. Arya. She floated, suspended in light, her eyes glowing brighter than the star above. Her expression was calm, yet commanding. Her arms extended as if she were shaping the world itself. The star, it chose her completely now, the old woman whispered. She is the bridge between the sleeper and our world. Everything depends on her next action. Nahir's chest tightened. Can she control it? She can, the woman replied. But she will not understand the cost until she acts. The turning star's rotation accelerated. Shadows in the dunes lengthened and twisted unnaturally. The desert hummed with a deep, resonant vibration, like the heartbeat of something enormous awakening below. Suddenly, Arya's voice echoed in Nahir's mind, soft but urgent. Prepare the city. The sleeper seeks the gate. Nahir's eyes widened. The gate? Which gate? The one beneath the temple of Nannar, the old woman said. It is where the celestial lines converge. The sleeper's dreams can enter fully if it reaches that point. Babylon itself will be transformed or destroyed. Nahir looked toward the city walls. The torches flickered violently in the distance. The people were already sensing something wrong, though none could name it. The old woman turned and placed a hand on Nahir's shoulder. You must help her. She is no longer just the echo, she is the listener. Only the listener can guide the sleeper without breaking the world. Before he could respond, the ground shuddered violently. The desert rose up in spiraling dunes, twisting like waves frozen mid-crash. Nahir struggled to keep his footing, and at the center of the storm, Arya descended slowly, her body wrapped in beams of silvery light. The turning star flared one final time, blinding in its intensity. And then, as quickly as it came, the light dimmed, leaving Nahir and the woman in the dark, windless desert. Nahir turned to her. Where is she? The woman smiled faintly. She has begun the convergence. She will enter the sleeper's dream soon. You must guide Babylon while she navigates the beyond. A distant rumble shook the city walls. The heartbeat of the desert now echoed through the streets. The race had begun. The city of Babylon slept uneasily under the turning star's light. Torches flickered in the windless streets, though the sky above was calm. Citizens whispered among themselves. Strange tremors had awakened old memories, shadows that weren't meant to be, and a sense that something enormous had returned to the desert. Nahir moved cautiously through the city gates. The silver feather in his hand pulsed faintly, as if Arya's presence was communicating through it. He could feel the sleeper's resonance growing stronger, spreading beneath the earth in slow, deliberate waves. The old woman's words echoed in his mind. Guide Babylon while she navigates the beyond. He had no idea what that truly meant. Nabusin had left him with instructions. Gather the high priests, secure the temple of Nannar, and prepare for the sleeper's dream to touch the waking world. It was impossible. Nothing he had ever studied could prepare him for this. The streets twisted strangely under the star's light, like reality itself had become malleable. Walls stretched slightly, corners elongated. Time seemed to wobble. A cart driver swore he saw his shadow move independently of his body. Nahir pressed forward, heart pounding. He reached the temple steps only to find the high priests waiting. Their faces were pale, their eyes wide with fear. You sensed it too, Nahir said. The tallest priest nodded. Yes, the ground trembles beneath the sleeper's dreaming. The city itself feels awake. Nahir held up the silver feather. It is Arya. She is inside the sleeper's dream. She will guide us, but we need to hold the city steady until she returns. The priests exchanged wary glances. How? One asked. How can we protect an entire city from a creature that can bend time and reality? Nahir inhaled sharply. I don't know, he admitted, but I know we must try, and we must trust her. The first wave. Hours passed. The city seemed to pulse with the rhythm of the sleeper's heartbeat. Then it began. Buildings shifted slightly, as though breathing. Shadows moved of their own accord, and from the desert, a low vibration traveled into the city, a sound so deep it seemed to resonate in every stone. People screamed. Merchants dropped their goods. Horses bolted. Torches flickered and went out. Nahir raised the feather high, and it glowed brightly, emitting a soft, steady hum. It was a beacon, a resonance line, connecting him to Arya and through her to the sleeper. The first wave hit, a shockwave of distorted reality, bending walls and floors, warping the city like water. Nahir chanted the old prayers the old woman had taught him. He placed his hands over the temple doors, and a faint glow radiated outward, forming protective lines of light across the city streets. The wave struck, and buildings trembled, but the light held. Citizens shielded their eyes as reality quivered, but the city survived. Nahir collapsed to his knees, exhausted. The feather pulsed rapidly, and he could hear her voice faintly in his mind. One wave at a time. You are the anchor, the rising shadows. As night deepened, the turning star brightened in the sky. It cast silver beams down onto the desert, creating long, moving shadows across the city walls. The second wave came, not from the ground this time, but from the shadows themselves. Dark figures, taller than men with faceless heads, emerged from the corners of streets and alleys. They moved with a fluid grace, slipping between walls and twisting around pillars. The citizens panicked. The priests tried to cast protective wards, but the shadows ignored them, gliding silently, watching, testing. Nahir realized the truth. These were dream fragments of the sleeper, manifested in the waking world. They were incomplete, unstable, yet intelligent. The feather pulsed stronger in his hand. He felt Arya's presence more clearly. Lead them back, guide them to safety. Nahir stepped forward, holding the feather aloft. A beam of silver light extended from it, striking the nearest shadow. Paused. Then slowly, reluctantly, it receded, flowing back toward the desert like smoke in reverse. The other shadows followed. For a moment, the city quieted, trembling but still standing. Whispers in the wind. Through the chaos, Nahir heard whispers. Soft, melodic, yet strange, layered in the language of dreams. Arya, Arya, the gate, complete, the cycle awaken. The voice sent chills down his spine. He could feel the city's pulse linking with the desert's heartbeat, and through it, Arya was calling, guiding. The third wave arrived differently. Not walls bending, not shadows moving, but memories. Citizens suddenly saw visions of their past. Parents long dead, lovers gone, children they had lost. The visions felt real, tactile, almost dangerous. Some screamed, some fainted, some laughed through tears. Nahir gripped the feather. Focus on the living, anchor the present. He reached for the priests. Together, they began chanting, forming protective circles of light around each major street intersection. The memories flickered and faded, dissipating like mist in sunlight. For now, the city remained intact. But Nahir knew this was only the beginning. The threshold. Hours passed, or perhaps minutes. Time no longer flowed consistently. The turning star hovered at zenith, its glow piercing through clouds like a beacon. The ground trembled again, deeper, slower, heavier. The sleeper's dream was moving into the city itself, seeking the gate at the temple of Nannar. Nahir turned to the priests. We must hold the temple or all is lost. They nodded grimly, forming ranks around the ancient structure. The feather pulsed brighter, almost unbearably so. A shadow emerged from the desert, larger than any before. It was the sleeper itself, a shifting, semi-transparent colossal form, ancient and endless, stretching beyond comprehension. The single massive eye, silver and star-like, scanned the city, searching for the gate, searching for Arya. Nahir raised the feather one final time. A beam shot from it, connecting the temple to the star above. The sleeper recoiled slightly, as if recognizing the barrier. Then a voice, deep, vibrating through every stone, spoke. You are the bridge. But can the bridge hold? Nahir whispered back. We will hold. And in that moment, the city stood ready, anchored by his faith and the faint light of the turning star. The turning star hung motionless above Babylon, its silver light bathing the city in a ghostly glow. The streets were silent now, but it was not peace. It was a waiting, a quiet before the final storm. Nahir stood atop the steps of the Temple of Nannar. The silver feather pulsed in his hand, a direct link to Arya within the sleeper's dream. He could feel her guiding him, pushing the city's defenses, whispering strategy into his mind. The colossal shadow of the sleeper loomed beyond the desert edge. It stretched impossibly, limbs flowing like liquid darkness, its eye scanning, measuring, probing. Every tremor from its waking echoed through the streets, rattling stone and bone alike. The high priests chanted relentlessly, weaving protective wards and light circles around the key intersections. The citizens huddled inside their homes, some crying, some praying. The city itself seemed to pulse in time with the sleeper's heartbeat, a living, breathing participant in the celestial game. Suddenly, a ripple ran through the desert. A wave of dream energy spread, faster than the eye could follow. The silver feather glowed brightly, and Nahir felt Arya's presence surge through him. "The gate is ready," her voice whispered in his mind. "The sleeper seeks passage, hold the line." From the shadow emerged fragments of the dream, specters, phantasms, twisted echoes of Babylon's past. Merchants, guards, children. They appeared in fleeting glimpses, half-formed, distorted. Reality itself began to bend, floors wobbling, walls stretching, and the sky shimmered unnaturally. Nahir raised the feather, projecting its light outward. Beams connected the wards, the temple, and the main streets in a radiant lattice. The phantasms recoiled at the barrier, writhing like smoke in wind, before being forced back into the desert. But the sleeper was not done. Its massive eye narrowed. From the desert, the ground erupted in spiraling sand torn by unseen winds. It moved, slowly at first, then faster, forming the outline of a colossal hand reaching toward Babylon. Nahir felt the feather's resonance spike. Arya's presence filled him completely, her voice sharp, urgent. "Anchor them, anchor yourself. The sleeper can feel doubt." He steadied himself, spoke aloud prayers older than Babylon itself. The feather's beam flared, creating a protective dome over the city. The spectral hand reached the temple, stretched out, then recoiled slightly, resisted by the light of the listener. The sleeper's dream. Inside the dream, Arya floated in a vast void, Babylon unfolding beneath her like a map. Stars revolved around her, constellations forming strange patterns she had never seen. The sleeper loomed, immense and incomprehensible, whispering in voices layered like echoes inside echoes. "Child of the turning star, restore the cycle, complete the alignment." Arya reached out to the central pivot of the dream, an ethereal replica of the celestial machine. Her hands glowed silver. Time folded around her, reality bending and stretching as she began to rotate the ancient gears. One wrong motion and the world could tear apart. She felt Nahir's anchoring presence in the waking world, the silver feather's resonance guiding her. Together, in a link spanning dream and reality, they began to synchronize the sleeper's vision with Babylon. The shadow in the desert trembled as the dream's gears began to turn. Reality cracked along the streets, shimmering like heat over sand, before stabilizing under Arya's control. The final wave. The sleeper's last wave surged. Walls bending, spectral phantasms, visions of lost eras, and memories flooding the streets. Citizens cried out, collapsing to the ground. The high priest's chants almost faltered. Nahir felt the feather pulse violently, almost unbearable, as Arya's voice penetrated the chaos. "Hold steady, now focus." With a final effort, he projected the feather's light across the city, linking wards, intersections, and the temple into a radiant lattice of pure resonance. The spectral waves struck the barrier and recoiled. The city shivered, then stilled. Nahir fell to his knees, exhausted, chest heaving. He heard Arya's voice, softer now. "It is done. The sleeper is held, but it rests within me now. I will return changed." The turning star glimmered once, twice, then rotated slowly to its normal rhythm. Babylon breathed again. Time returned. Aftermath. The next morning, the city was quiet. Dust hung in the streets. Torches burned steadily. Nahir walked through the main square. Citizens emerged cautiously, blinking at the sunlight, unsure if the nightmare had truly ended. The high priests gathered, nodding solemnly. "You have done well," one whispered, eyes on the silver feather now glowing faintly in Nahir's hand. He felt a shift in the air, a sense of completion, and yet something lingering, a resonance beneath the earth, silent, patient, waiting. And then, a figure appeared at the horizon. Arya, returning from the sleeper's dream. She floated gently down to the square, radiant and serene, her eyes holding a silver gleam deeper than any star. The city held its collective breath. She landed softly. The feather's glow dimmed as the link between dream and reality eased. Arya smiled faintly. "I am back," she said simply. But even in her calm, Nahir could sense it. The sleeper's presence had not vanished. It rested within her now, silent, waiting, dreaming. The turning star above flickered once, silently, knowingly. Babylon had survived, but the echoes of the sleeper lingered, and the city and its people would never be the same again. The morning after the sleeper's first convergence left Babylon shaken but standing. A strange calm hung over the city. The turning star shone pale and steady, but its light carried an unfamiliar chill. Nahir walked alongside Arya through the temple courtyard. Though she had returned, she seemed changed. Her eyes carried the echo of the sleeper, silvered and deep. Her movements were deliberate, graceful, almost unnatural. "The city is safe, for now," Nahir said cautiously. He kept his voice low, mindful of the subtle vibrations in the ground, the remnants of the sleeper's dream. Arya nodded silently. "I can feel it resting within me," she said. "But it is not asleep. It watches. It waits." The high priests emerged from the inner halls. Their expressions were grave, eyes wide with concern and reverence. "Child of the turning star," the tallest priest said, bowing slightly. "The people whisper, and the echoes of your journey spread through Babylon. We must prepare for the next wave. The sleeper's dreams are not yet contained." Arya turned to him, silver light reflecting faintly from her hands. "I need to know more. Where do the cycles begin? Where does the sleeper seek its anchor?" The priests exchanged glances. The ancient texts speak of the outer gate, beneath the deserts beyond Babylon. If the sleeper reaches it, the dream and reality will converge fully. The city will be transformed or destroyed. Nahir clenched the silver feather. He had thought the worst was over, but now he understood. The sleeper was merely waiting for the next opportunity, and Arya was its bridge. The outer desert beckons. By midday, Arya and Nahir stood at the city gates, looking out toward the endless dunes. The sun glared fiercely, but even its warmth seemed distant beneath the turning star's unnatural light. "We must go," Arya said quietly. "The outer gate, I can feel it calling." Nahir hesitated. "The city needs protection. We've only just stabilized it." Arya's silver gaze met his. "The sleeper will not wait. If I do not move forward, it will continue to reach through the dream, through Babylon, and nothing will remain safe." The wind shifted. A low, vibrating hum rose from beneath the sand. The ground pulsed, almost like the heartbeat of some vast creature. Nahir swallowed. He felt the resonance in the feather spike, signaling that the sleeper was aware. "I'll go with you," he said. "If we face this together, maybe we can hold it." Arya nodded once. Together, they stepped into the dunes, the whispering sands. The desert stretched endlessly, shifting under their feet, sands glowing faintly under the turning star's light. They moved cautiously, aware that every grain of sand might carry the sleeper's influence. Then the whispers began, soft at first, almost melodic, like a breeze threading through the dunes. But soon they grew louder, insistent, layered with countless voices, all overlapping, speaking in the language of dreams. "Return, restore, awaken." The cycle. Arya held up her hands, silver light radiating outward. I hear it, she whispered. It's guiding me, but I must focus. I must reach the gate before it shapes the world beyond control. Nahir stayed close, watching her movements. The feather in his hand pulsed rapidly, resonating with her power. Together, they advanced deeper into the desert, each step echoing the heartbeat of the sleeper. The dunes twisted unnaturally around them, forming arches, spirals, impossible shapes. It felt alive, sentient, and aware of their passage. The first guardian. Suddenly, the ground split, and a massive form emerged. It was a guardian, ancient and towering, a construct of the sleeper's dream. Its body shimmered with semi-transparent sand and silver light, and its eyes glowed like miniature turning stars. Arya stepped forward. I am not your enemy, she called, but I must pass. The guardian's form shimmered and moved, blocking their path. Its voice echoed through the desert, layered and thunderous. None may enter without the bridge. Prove your purpose, listener. Nahir gripped the feather. Arya extended her hands. Light surged between them, and for the first time, the resonance of the city joined theirs, anchoring their will in reality. The guardian hesitated, and then, as if acknowledging their authority, parted its immense form, revealing the path forward. They advanced deeper into the desert, toward the outer gate, where the next convergence awaited. The outer gate. Hours later, the dunes gave way to a plateau. At its center, a circular structure rose from the sands. It was the outer gate, ancient and vast, carved with symbols older than Babylon itself, resonating with the turning star above. Arya stepped toward it. The silver feather pulsed violently, almost as if warning them. This is it, she said. The sleeper's anchor. If I can align it, the cycle stabilize. If I fail, the world will bend into the dream's shape. Nahir nodded, standing behind her. I trust you, he said. The gate shimmered, responding to her presence. Light and shadow danced across the surface, twisting, bending. The sleeper stirred, its colossal eye observing from the desert beyond, aware of their arrival. Arya placed her hands on the ancient stone. The turning star above flared once, and a pulse of silver light shot through the dunes. The desert, the city, the dream, all seemed to converge. Nahir felt the resonance in the feather peak, a bridge between worlds. The gate began to turn, ancient gears spinning, revealing a swirling portal of silver light, the passage between the waking world and the sleeper's dream. Arya looked at Nahir. It begins, she whispered. The final alignment. The swirling portal at the outer gate pulsed with silver light, twisting reality in concentric waves. The desert trembled beneath their feet, as if the earth itself were aware of the impending convergence. Arya's eyes glowed brighter than the turning star above. The sleeper stirred in the distance, colossal and impossible. Its single massive eye focused on the outer gate. Its whispers reached them now, layered, incomprehensible, a symphony of dreams and time. The bridge, incomplete, restore, or all collapses. Nahir stood behind her, the silver feather clutched tightly. He could feel the resonance spike violently, sending waves of nausea and vertigo through his body. The air around them shimmered, bending the light. The desert seemed to ripple like water. This is it, Arya whispered. The final alignment. I have to enter the gate fully, synchronized with the sleeper's dream. Nahir's voice trembled. You will hold it, won't you? Arya turned to him. The sleeper rests within me now. I can guide it, but the city, the world, it will feel my presence. I need you to anchor it here while I navigate the dream. Nahir nodded, steeling himself. He raised the feather. Its silver light flared, forming a protective lattice over the nearby desert and city, connecting past wards, the outer gate, and the temple back in Babylon. Entering the dream, Arya stepped into the swirling light of the gate. The air around her rippled violently, and Nahir felt the pull in his mind. Her consciousness separated from her body, drifting into the sleeper's dreamscape. Inside the dream, she found herself in a vast expanse of shifting Babylon. Time was fluid. Streets from ancient Babylon merged with modern structures. Stars hung low, revolving around her like planets orbiting an invisible sun. The sleeper loomed near, its massive form both terrifying and magnificent. Its voice spoke directly into her mind. Bridge, complete. Stabilize the cycle, or collapse. Arya focused, reaching for the dream replica of the celestial machine. The gears spun, but not smoothly. They resisted her control, thrashing as if alive. Time and space warped violently. A single misalignment could fracture reality. She could sense Nahir's anchoring presence, his will keeping the waking world stable. Their connection allowed her to manipulate the dream safely, but the sleeper's resistance grew stronger. The sleeper's resistance. Suddenly, the dream erupted. The shadows of Babylon twisted into monstrous shapes, snarling echoes of history. Arya's mind reeled. The screams of the city, past, present, and potential futures, resonated through her consciousness. Focus, stabilize. Nahir's voice reached her, faint but grounding. She grasped the central gear of the dream machine and aligned it with the celestial constellations above. Light flared across the dreamscape. The monstrous shadows recoiled. Time seemed to stabilize, if only slightly. But the sleeper's will was not broken. Its single eye focused, and the entire dream landscape shuddered violently. Reality outside the gate quivered. Nahir felt the feather vibrate almost unbearably. "Do not falter, listener," the sleeper whispered, "or all will merge, and the world will be consumed." Arya's eyes blazed silver. Her hands moved faster, aligning the gears, pushing through the chaos. Every motion of her hands created ripples in the waking world, visible as distortions across the desert and city streets. The final alignment. The outer gate itself responded to her control. Its massive ancient stone wheels began to turn smoothly, lights tracing along carved runes. The portal stabilized into a vortex of silver and blue energy. The sleeper recoiled slightly, sensing the equilibrium shift. Nahir's chest ached. The feather pulsed wildly, connecting every ward in Babylon to the outer gate. The city shivered with each pulse, but held its form. Arya's voice rang out, commanding, resonant. "Sleeper, rest now. Stabilize. Flow with me." The colossal figure outside, the sleeper, seemed to pause. Its massive hand, previously reaching toward the city, now hovered motionless. The desert sands stilled. Time around the city became solid again. Arya synchronized the last of the dream gears. Light flared across the gate, washing over the desert, the city, and the distant walls. The sleeper's eye blinked once, slowly, and then closed. A deep, echoing sigh rolled through the desert. Nahir collapsed, overwhelmed by the intensity of the resonance. The feather dimmed to a soft silver glow. The desert, the city, Babylon itself was still. The turning star above rotated normally. This glow was serene, no longer ominous. Returned to reality. The vortex of the outer gate slowly dissipated. Arya emerged, descending gently onto the plateau. Her silver eyes retained the faint glow of the sleeper's essence, but her expression was calm. The desert around them shimmered, as if time had gently settled after the storm. Nahir ran to her side. "You did it," he whispered. She smiled faintly. "We held it. The sleeper rests, for now. And Babylon is safe." The high priests emerged from the city gates, eyes wide with awe. "Child of the turning star, you have achieved what was thought impossible," one said. Arya nodded, her gaze toward the horizon, where the desert shimmered faintly. "The sleeper is patient," she said. "I can feel it resting, but it will awaken again. We must remain vigilant." The turning star above flared once more, softly this time, almost like a blessing. Babylon and its people had survived the ultimate test. The calm after the storm. Nahir and Arya walked back toward the city. The desert winds had returned to their gentle whispers. The citizens emerged from their homes, cautious, blinking in disbelief at the sun and the normalcy of the streets. Arya carried no fear, only awareness. The sleeper had become a part of her, a silent, sleeping force. She was the listener, the bridge, the guardian of the cycles. Nahir glanced at the silver feather in his hand. Its glow was faint, but steady, a reminder of their connection and of the power that had saved the city. The turning star hung high above, a silent witness to their triumph. For now, Babylon rested, but the echoes of the sleeper, the cycles of time, and the eternal turning star would continue to hum beneath the sands, waiting for the next alignment. The city of Babylon slowly returned to life. The turning star hung serenely above, its silver light now gentle and steady. Citizens emerged from their homes, blinking at the sun, murmuring about strange dreams, distorted shadows, and the faint echo of something immense resting beneath the sands. Arya and Nahir walked through the city gates, side by side. The silver feather pulsed faintly in Nahir's hand, a reminder of the resonance between the waking world and the sleeper's dream. "You've changed," Nahir said softly, glancing at Arya. Her silver eyes reflected both the power of the sleeper and a quiet serenity. "I carry it now," she said, "but it rests. I can feel its heartbeat beneath the sands, and through me. The cycles are balanced, for now." The high priests gathered around them, expressions grave yet relieved. "Child of the turning star," the tallest priest said, bowing deeply, "you have preserved the city, the people, and the world's balance. But beware, the sleeper does not forget. It will awaken again, and the cycles may demand another bridge." Arya nodded, understanding the weight of her responsibility. "It is my duty, and I will remain vigilant." Ripples through time. As they walked through the streets, subtle changes in the city caught Nahir's attention. Buildings that had been damaged by the sleeper's waves were restored almost instantly. Memories of distorted events lingered faintly in the minds of the citizens, as if time itself had been rewritten carefully around the convergence. "It's as if the city itself remembers," Nahir murmured. "Yes," Arya replied, her gaze distant. "And it also remembers me." The sleeper leaves traces, echoes in the hearts of all who survived. It is part of the balance. A gentle wind stirred, carrying whispers only Arya could hear. They were soft, melodic, layered, almost like the hum of a distant star. "Do you hear it?" Nahir asked. "It is the sleeper," she said. "But calm now. It is listening, waiting, dreaming." A quiet celebration. In the central square, citizens began to gather. Some prayed, some whispered of miracles, and some simply stared at the horizon, unsure if what they had experienced had been dream or reality. The high priests instructed Nahir to help maintain the protective wards temporarily, while Arya guided them through the cycle stabilization. She walked among the people, her presence reassuring. A subtle silver glow emanated from her hands, calming lingering fear and anchoring the reality around the city. Children laughed as shadows that had twisted during the waves returned to their normal forms. Nahir looked at Arya and smiled faintly. "Everything's okay now," he said. "Babylon is safe." She smiled back, though her eyes remained distant. "Safe for now," she said softly, a hint of what's to come. As the day passed, Arya felt a subtle vibration beneath the sands. A small pulse, barely perceptible, but enough to remind her that the sleeper still existed, still aware, still patient. "It is not gone," she whispered to Nahir. "It waits, and I will need to remain the bridge. The cycles never end completely. But this was a victory." Nahir nodded, holding the silver feather tightly. "I'll stay by your side," he said. "Whatever comes next, we face it together." Above them, the turning star shimmered once, brighter than usual, almost as if acknowledging her words. The sky seemed to whisper its approval, while deep beneath the desert, the sleeper's presence pulsed faintly, a reminder that this story was far from over. The closing scene. Night fell over Babylon. The city slept, peaceful for the first time in days. The stars glimmered overhead. The turning star rotated slowly, serenely, casting a silver glow over rooftops and streets. Arya stood atop the temple of Nannar, looking out over the city. The silver feather had returned to Nahir's hand, now quiet, still glowing faintly. She whispered to the night sky, "I will protect the cycles. I am the listener, the bridge, and I will remain vigilant." Nahir joined her. "Then we begin tomorrow," he said quietly. She nodded. A gentle wind stirred the sands beyond the city. A soft hum reached their ears, a resonance of the sleeper, sleeping but aware. The turning star above flickered once, faintly, and somewhere deep within the desert, a shadow stirred, hinting at the challenges yet to come. Babylon rested, but the story was far from over. The cycles had been preserved, for now, and the listener had awakened fully. The turning star would watch over them until the next alignment. The sun dipped low over Babylon, casting long shadows across the city streets. Though the sleeper had been held, the memory of its presence lingered. Nahir and Arya could feel it, a quiet resonance beneath the sands, subtle but insistent. Arya walked through the city, her silver eyes reflecting the turning star's light. She moved among the citizens, calming lingering fears, reinforcing the protective wards. The feather in Nahir's hand glowed faintly, its pulses synchronized with the city's heartbeat. "This calm, it feels temporary," Arya said softly. "I can sense the sleeper stirring in the distance. It is awake but patient, calculating. Tests it waits, and it knows we are aware." Nahir glanced at her, concern etched on his face. "Do we have a plan? We can't stay here forever." Arya's gaze shifted toward the horizon, where the desert stretched endlessly. "The outer gate holds the key. If the sleeper awakens fully, it will attempt another convergence. We must be ready, and we must strengthen the connection between the waking world and the dream." The high priests approached, their robes fluttering in the desert wind. "Child of the turning star, the wards you established must be expanded. We must reach every corner of Babylon and the surrounding desert. The sleeper may awaken anywhere." Arya nodded. "We begin tonight. The cycles demand vigilance. And Nahir, we must be prepared for what lies beyond the outer gate." The preparations begin. As night fell, Nahir and the priests began reinforcing wards throughout the city. The silver feather pulsed more rapidly now, signaling the sleeper's subtle resonance beneath the desert. Every street, every temple, every alleyway became a node in a vast network of protective energy. Meanwhile, Arya moved to the outskirts, placing stones etched with ancient runes in the sand. These stones would anchor the cycles, stabilizing reality while extending the protective lattice deeper into the desert. She whispered words older than Babylon itself, calling upon the listener's power, weaving light into the very fabric of the land. The desert around them shimmered faintly under the turning star's gaze. Shadows lengthened unnaturally, and the wind carried faint whispers, echoes of the sleeper's dreams. Nahir's chest tightened. He could feel the sleeper watching, testing their resolve, probing for weaknesses. A disturbing vision. Suddenly, the silver feather pulsed violently. Nahir's vision blurred. He saw a city twisted by shadows, streets melting like wax, the turning star above distorted and fractured. In the midst of the chaos, a massive shadow moved, a darker, more sinister presence than the sleeper they had faced. Arya's voice cut through his mind, calm but urgent. "Focus, Nahir. This is a vision of what could happen. The sleeper tests your fears. It seeks to understand your mind as much as the city. Anchor yourself. Anchor Babylon." Nahir took a deep breath, gripping the feather tightly. The vision wavered, then dissipated, leaving only the desert wind and the faint glow of the turning star. Arya placed a hand on his shoulder. "It will come, but we are ready. Tonight we strengthen the wards. Tomorrow we may need to face it directly." The first night watch. Night deepened, and the city settled into uneasy silence. Nahir patrolled the main streets, the feather casting a faint silver glow, illuminating every corner. The high priests monitored the wards, chanting softly to reinforce the city's defenses. From the edge of the desert, a faint shimmer appeared, like a mirage, but with substance. The shadows of the sleeper's dream flickered across the dunes, testing the city's boundaries. Nahir felt the feather pulse violently, signaling the first real attempt to breach the wards. Arya arrived beside him, her hands glowing with silver light. "Do you see them?" she asked. "Yes," he replied. "They are probing, seeing how strong our defenses are." She extended her hands, directing beams of light into the wards. The shadows recoiled, fading into the desert, but the sense of unease remained. Nahir realized then that this would not be a single confrontation. The sleeper's patience was immense, and its dreams would test them repeatedly. The desert whispers. Hours passed, the wind carrying faint whispers across the dunes. They were fragmented voices, echoes of the past, present, and possible futures. The feather vibrated, translating the whispers into faint musical tones only Nahir could perceive. "The sleeper is teaching us," Arya whispered. "Every trial, every vision. It is part of the cycle. We learn, we adapt, we anchor reality." Nahir nodded. "And each night we prepare for the next test." The turning star above rotated slowly, its silver glow a constant reminder of the cosmic forces at play. Beyond the city, the desert remained alive with unseen movement, the heartbeat of the sleeper pulsing faintly, waiting. The calm before the storm. As dawn approached, Nahir and Arya stood atop the temple of Nannar. The city below was quiet, bathed in soft silver and gold light. The citizens slept, unaware of the cosmic tension threading beneath their feet. Arya turned to Nahir. "The cycles continue. The sleeper rests for now. But we must remain vigilant. The outer gate will call again, and when it does, we must be ready." Nahir looked at the feather, feeling its faint pulse. "We will be ready," he said. "Together." The turning star flared gently, signaling another day, another test, and the continuation of the cycles. The desert beyond Babylon shimmered unnaturally, bathed in the silver glow of the turning star. Though the city slept peacefully, the ground beneath hummed with subtle energy, the heartbeat of the sleeper stirring quietly. Nahir and Arya stood atop the temple of Nannar, watching the dunes stretch endlessly toward the horizon. "The sleeper is restless," Arya said softly, eyes glowing faintly silver. "It tests the boundaries of its dream, probing. It may be patient, but it is aware, and it knows we are ready." Nahir clenched the silver feather, sensing the energy spike. "The wards are holding so far, but the pulse is stronger tonight." From the dunes, faint figures emerged, shadowy specters, semi-transparent, whispering in layered voices, each echoing memories, fears, and fragmented dreams. "They are probes," Arya said, "not fully formed, but intelligent. They seek to find weak points, to see if the city can be fractured." The first confrontation. A spectral figure darted toward the city gate, its form unstable, shifting between shapes of humans, animals, and strange geometric forms. Nahir raised the silver feather, and a beam of protective light shot outward. The figure recoiled, but multiple others followed. The desert seemed to ripple, sending more phantoms toward the city. Arya extended her hands, silver light flowing from her palms, connecting to the wards and anchoring them firmly. "Focus your will through the feather," she instructed. Nahir obeyed, feeling the resonance surge through his body, the city, and the wards. The phantoms collided with the protective lattice, and sparks of silver energy exploded outward, dissipating the shadows into the desert. Still, more ripples emerged, waves of shadow energy that continued to test the city's defenses. "The sleeper learns," Arya said grimly. "Each wave adapts to our defenses. This is a true test." Dream echoes. Nahir felt the feather pulse violently, and a wave of images hit him, visions of Babylon, fractured timelines, citizens caught in surreal loops, and the desert folding upon itself. "This is too real," he murmured. "They are feeding on fear." Arya placed a hand on his shoulder. Anchor yourself in reality, she said. The sleeper feeds on hesitation. Our minds must be steady. Together, they channeled energy through the feather and wards. The city shivered, and light flared across the streets and temples. The phantoms screamed in layered voices, then dissolved back into the desert, leaving only a faint shimmer. The turning star above pulsed gently, as if acknowledging their effort. A cosmic ripple. Hours passed, and the waves from the sleeper grew stronger. Arya sensed a faint vibration. Something deeper, something approaching from beyond the desert. This is no longer just a test, she whispered. It is preparing for something greater, a convergence that could stretch beyond Babylon itself. The ground beneath the temple quivered. From the dunes, a massive ripple of silver and shadow emerged. A manifestation of the sleeper's dream, larger and more coherent than before. It towered over the city, its single eye focused like a lens, scanning every ward, every protective measure. Nahir's hands shook as he clutched the feather. "This is enormous," he said, voice trembling. Arya's gaze was steady, unwavering. "We have faced it before. We will face it again. The city, the cycles, and the turning star are with us." The sleeper's new form. The ripple solidified into a semi-corporeal form, a vast figure of shifting shadows and silver light. It moved as if liquid, flowing over the dunes toward Babylon. Its voice reached them, layered and omniscient. "Child of the turning star, your anchor is strong, but can it endure the full dream? Your city, your people are fragile threads in the cycles." Arya stepped forward, silver light flaring around her hands. "I am the bridge," she declared. "I will hold the cycles, and Babylon will not fall." The sleeper paused, its eye narrowing. Then it surged forward, waves of dream energy cascading toward the city. Buildings shook, streets twisted, and shadows of past lives flickered across the walls. Nahir raised the feather, projecting beams of silver light outward. Arya channeled her power into the wards, reinforcing the lattice, and together they stabilized the city against the first full assault. A test of will. The sleeper's waves grew relentless. Each pulse challenged not only the wards, but their minds. Fear, doubt, and visions of potential destruction flooded Nahir and Arya simultaneously. It was no longer a physical challenge. It was psychological, cosmic, and deeply personal. "Anchor yourself," Arya shouted. "Do not falter." Nahir drew a deep breath, focusing through the feather. Images of Babylon, its people, and the turning star filled his mind. The phantoms of fear recoiled as their will anchored reality firmly. Arya's silver eyes blazed. She extended both hands, sending waves of stabilizing energy outward. The sleeper hesitated, its massive form wavering. The city's lattice of wards pulsed with synchronized light, stronger than ever before. For a moment silence fell. The desert, the turning star, and even the sleeper seemed to pause. A fragile calm had been restored. The calm and the warning. Arya lowered her hands, breathing heavily. "The sleeper has retreated for now," she said. "But this was only the beginning. It learns, it adapts, and the next convergence will be stronger." Nahir wiped sweat from his brow. "We held it for tonight." Arya nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. "Tonight, yes, but tomorrow we must be ready again. The cycles are endless, and the turning star watches." The feather pulsed softly in Nahir's hand, a reminder that their link, their vigilance, and their courage were crucial to the city's survival. The desert beyond shimmered faintly, hinting at future challenges and tests yet to come. Babylon slept once more, peaceful for the moment. But the sleeper was patient, and the cycles were eternal. The first light of dawn painted Babylon in gentle gold and silver, the turning star casting a soft glow over the city. Though the sleeper had retreated, its presence lingered faintly beneath the sands, an eternal pulse that reminded them vigilance was necessary. Arya stood atop the temple of Nanar, her silver eyes scanning the horizon. Nahir stood beside her, the silver feather in his hand faintly pulsing with energy. "We've held it for now," Arya whispered. But the sleeper will test the city again. Stronger, smarter. It learns from each attempt. Nahir nodded, eyes scanning the distant desert. Do you think it will strike again soon? Arya turned to him, calm and resolute. The cycles are eternal. We cannot predict the next convergence. All we can do is be ready together. A subtle shift. The city below slowly awakened. Merchants opened their shops. Children ran through the streets. And the citizens whispered tales of strange dreams and silver light that had protected them during the night. But Arya could sense subtle shifts in the fabric of reality. Small distortions that the sleeper left behind as it tested the city. These traces will fade, eventually, she said. But the memory remains. Babylon itself remembers the cycles and our intervention. And so does the sleeper. Nahir glanced at the silver feather. Then our work never truly ends, he said. Arya nodded. No, it is eternal. But that is why we must remain the bridge. Our vigilance preserves the cycles, the city, and reality itself. The citizens awakening. The people of Babylon moved through their day cautiously but with curiosity. Some noticed faint glimmers in the air. Shadows that didn't belong. Light that shimmered unusually. They whispered of miracles and dreams, sensing something beyond the ordinary. The high priests gathered, examining the protective wards that had been reinforced overnight. Child of the turning star, the cycles are balanced for now, one priest said. But the sleeper may awaken anywhere, and we must continue to maintain the lattice. Arya smiled faintly. The city itself will anchor the wards. The people unknowingly are part of the bridge. Their awareness, their resilience, it strengthens the cycles. Nahir watched the citizens, realizing that every moment of calm, every smile, every act of courage contributed to the fragile balance of reality. A whisper beneath the sands. As night approached, a subtle vibration pulsed beneath the desert. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but Arya felt it clearly. The sleeper stirred. It is not awake fully, she said quietly, but it watches and it remembers. Tonight will be calm, but the cycles continue, and the outer gate will call again. Nahir gripped the feather tightly. Then we stay ready. Arya placed a hand on his shoulder. We do more than stay ready. We anchor reality itself. The cycles rely on our will. The desert beyond shimmered faintly, a reminder that the sleeper's presence was eternal, patient, and aware. The turning star's blessing. Above them, the turning star glowed steadily, its light washing over the city and the desert. It pulsed in gentle rhythm, like a heartbeat, synchronizing the cycles and the wards. Arya raised her hands, feeling the energy flow through her, through Nahir, and across Babylon. This is our link, she whispered. The city, the cycles, and the sleeper all connected. Our vigilance preserves the balance. Nahir exhaled slowly, feeling the pulse of energy calm slightly. For now, the city was safe, the sleeper resting, and the turning star watching. A hint of the future. As they stood together atop the temple, Arya's gaze shifted to the distant horizon. A faint shimmer in the desert caught her eye, a ripple of silver light, subtle but distinct. She knew that the next convergence, the next test, was inevitable. The sleeper sleeps for now, she said softly, but it is patient, and when it awakens fully, the cycles will demand a new bridge, and perhaps new sacrifices. Nahir nodded, understanding the weight of her words. Then we continue. Whatever comes, we face it together. The turning star pulsed one final time that night, brighter than usual, almost like a silent blessing. The city slept peacefully, unaware of the cosmic forces that had tested it and would test it again. Arya turned to Nahir, eyes soft but determined. The story continues. Babylon endures, and we remain the bridge. The desert hummed softly beneath the sands, a lullaby of patience, power, and eternity. The sleeper rested, but it would awaken again. And when it did, the cycles would continue, the city would need its guardians, and the turning star would watch over them all. The closing scene. Night fully descended over Babylon. The city slept under the silver light of the turning star. The wards glimmered faintly, holding the balance of reality, while the desert beyond shimmered softly with the dormant presence of the sleeper. Arya and Nahir stood side by side atop the temple, watching over the city. "Sleep well, Babylon," Arya whispered. "Tonight you are safe, and tomorrow we remain vigilant." Nahir glanced at the silver feather. It pulsed softly, a reminder of their connection, their vigilance, and the ongoing cycles. The turning star glimmered once more, silent and eternal, and deep beneath the sands, the sleeper rested, dreaming quietly, waiting for the next convergence. The story was far from over. The cycles continued, and the listener remained awake, the bridge between worlds. The desert beyond Babylon shimmered under the turning star's silver glow. Though the city slept peacefully, the faint pulse beneath the sands grew stronger, an almost imperceptible vibration that hinted at something awakening. Arya stood atop the temple of Nannar, silver eyes scanning the horizon. Nahir held the silver feather, its glow faint but steady. "The sleeper stirs," Arya whispered. "It's testing the limits of the wards, probing for weaknesses. Tonight, it may challenge us directly for the first time since the last convergence." Nahir tightened his grip on the feather. "Are we ready for it?" Arya's gaze was steady, unwavering. "We are always ready. The cycles demand vigilance, and we are their bridge." A surge in the desert. From the distant dunes, a ripple of silver and shadow emerged, moving with purpose toward the city. Unlike the faint probes of previous nights, this wave was coherent, tangible, almost alive. It flowed like liquid light and darkness intertwined, shifting and writhing as it approached Babylon. Nahir's hands trembled slightly as he projected silver energy from the feather, forming a protective lattice over the city. Arya extended her hands, beams of light connecting the wards and reinforcing the city's defenses. "This is no ordinary wave," she said grimly. "It is the sleeper's direct manifestation. We are about to face it fully, within the city itself." The ground trembled slightly, as if sensing the presence of the immense power approaching. Shadows flickered unnaturally across streets and rooftops. Even the turning star above pulsed rapidly, as if responding to the intensity of the cosmic event. The first strike. The ripple hit the city's outer gates, waves of dream energy crashing against the wards. Buildings quivered, and shadows of past events flickered across walls and streets, merging with the phantoms of the sleeper's earlier tests. Nahir raised the feather, sending beams of protective light outward. Arya channeled her power, weaving silver energy into the wards, anchoring them firmly. The two worked in perfect synchrony, their combined energy holding back the first assault. But the sleeper's presence was overwhelming. Its voice reached their minds, layered and omniscient. "The bridge is strong, but can it endure the full convergence? The cycles must continue, and the city must bend or break." Arya's silver eyes blazed with determination. "We will endure. Babylon will not fall." A test of minds. The sleeper's assault was not only physical. It sent visions into their minds. Babylon in ruins, citizens trapped in endless loops, streets melting like wax. Fear and doubt assaulted Nahir and Arya simultaneously. "Anchor yourself," Arya shouted. "The sleeper feeds on hesitation." Nahir drew a deep breath, focusing on the city, the people, and the turning star. The feather pulsed violently, translating his will into protective energy that stabilized the wards. Arya's silver light flared outward, merging with the city's protective lattice. The sleeper recoiled slightly, its massive form wavering. The streets of Babylon shimmered with synchronized energy, stronger than ever before. For a brief moment, silence fell. The desert, the turning star, and even the sleeper seemed to pause, acknowledging their resolve. The sleeper's new form. The ripple solidified into a colossal, semi-corporeal form of silver and shadow, far larger than the last manifestation. Its single eye scanned the city, analyzing every ward, every street, every protective measure. Nahir's pulse raced as he tried to project enough energy to hold the ward steady. Arya stepped forward, extending both hands. "I am the bridge," she declared. "I hold the cycles, and Babylon will not fall." The sleeper surged forward, waves of dream energy cascading toward the city. Buildings shook, streets twisted, and phantoms of past lives flickered across walls. Nahir raised the feather, projecting protective light beams, while Arya reinforced the lattice with silver energy. The city shivered under the intensity, but the wards held. The turning star pulsed steadily, a cosmic anchor stabilizing reality, a strategic retreat. Despite their efforts, the waves of the sleeper grew relentless. Each pulse challenged not only the wards but their minds, forcing them to confront fears, regrets, and what-ifs. It was a test of psychological endurance as much as physical. "We cannot hold this indefinitely," Nahir said, voice trembling. "It will exhaust us." Arya's gaze was calm, resolute. "We do not hold it indefinitely. We redirect it. The outer gate. It is the only way to channel its power safely." She gestured toward the desert. "The next convergence will come there. We anchor the city temporarily and draw the sleeper's focus outward." Nahir nodded, understanding the plan. Together, they prepared to redirect the sleeper's immense energy toward the outer gate, using the wards and the feather as conduits. A moment of calm. As night deepened, a subtle vibration pulsed beneath the city and desert. The sleeper had paused, testing the limits of their defenses. Arya and Nahir stood atop the Temple of Nanar, breathless but alert. "The city holds for now," Arya whispered. "But the sleeper is patient. It will awaken fully eventually, and the cycles will demand another bridge." Nahir tightened his grip on the feather. "Then we remain ready. Whatever comes, we face it together." The turning star above flared softly, almost like a silent blessing, while the desert hummed with the dormant power of the sleeper. The desert beyond Babylon shimmered with silver light under the turning star. The city lay quiet, but the faint pulse beneath the sands grew stronger, signaling the sleeper's awakening. This time, the wave of energy approaching was not tentative. It was deliberate, colossal, and full of intent. Arya and Nahir stood atop the Temple of Nanar, the silver feather in Nahir's hand glowing faintly. "This is it," Arya said, her voice steady but resolute. "The sleeper confronts us fully. Everything we've prepared will be tested." Nahir nodded, gripping the feather tighter. "I'm ready." The first ripple hit the city walls, waves of dream energy that bent reality, twisting streets and flickering buildings with phantom echoes of the past. Arya extended her hands, silver light radiating outward, anchoring the wards. "The city is our bridge," she whispered. "We hold it together, and we redirect its power." The sleeper emerges. From the desert dunes, the sleeper's form solidified, a colossal figure of shifting silver and shadow, towering above Babylon. Its single eye, glowing faintly red within layers of shifting darkness, scanned the city and the wards. The ground trembled under its presence. The sleeper's voice echoed in their minds, layered and omniscient. "The cycles falter. The bridge trembles. Your city, your people, your resolve will be tested fully." Arya's silver eyes blazed. "We will not falter. We are the bridge. We anchor the cycles. Babylon will not fall." Nahir projected a beam of silver light from the feather, merging with Arya's energy to reinforce the wards. The sleeper recoiled slightly, analyzing, probing, waiting for a weakness. Cosmic assault. The sleeper surged forward, crashing waves of dream energy across the city. Streets twisted, buildings warped, and citizens flickered between past and possible futures. Shadows of long-forgotten lives and memories merged with the phantoms of the sleeper's creation. The city shivered under the intensity, but the wards held. Unity of will. Despite the sleeper's relentless assault, Nahir and Arya's combined energy began to overwhelm the waves. Their minds synchronized, their wills united, forming a channel of energy stronger than the sleeper had anticipated. The waves began to dissipate, retreating into the desert. The sleeper's voice echoed faintly. The bridge is strong for now, but the cycles are eternal, and patience is mine. Arya's silver eyes softened as she lowered her hands. We held it for now, she whispered, but the cycles continue, and we must remain vigilant. Nahir exhaled, exhausted but resolute. We survived. The city is safe for the moment. A hint of what's to come. As the first light of dawn painted Babylon in gold and silver, Arya and Nahir stood atop the Temple of Nannar. The city below moved cautiously, citizens unaware of the cosmic battle that had unfolded overnight. The sleeper sleeps for now, Arya said quietly, but it is patient. It will awaken again, stronger and more aware. The cycles will demand a new bridge, and perhaps new challenges. Nahir tightened his grip on the feather. Then we stay ready. Whatever comes, we face it together. The turning star above pulsed softly, a cosmic heartbeat anchoring reality and the cycles. The desert hummed with the dormant power of the sleeper, waiting for the next convergence. The closing scene. Night descended over Babylon. The city slept peacefully under the turning star, wards glowing faintly across the streets. Arya and Nahir stood together atop the Temple of Nannar, watching the desert shimmer softly in the distance. Sleep well, Babylon, Arya whispered. Tonight you are safe, and tomorrow we remain vigilant. The silver feather pulsed softly in Nahir's hand, a reminder of their connection, their vigilance, and the eternal cycles. The turning star glimmered one final time that night, silent and eternal. And deep beneath the sands, the sleeper rested, dreaming quietly, waiting for the next convergence. The story was far from over. The cycles continued, and the listener remained awake, the bridge between worlds. The city of Babylon lay quiet under the silver glow of the turning star. Though the last confrontation had ended, the subtle pulse beneath the desert sands reminded Nahir and Arya that the sleeper was patient, always watching, always learning. Arya stood atop the Temple of Nannar, silver eyes scanning the horizon. The desert beyond shimmered faintly, shadows moving in ways that suggested consciousness. The cycles are shifting, Arya whispered. The sleeper is adapting. Its dreams are growing stronger, more intricate, more dangerous. Nahir held the silver feather, its pulse faint but steady. What does that mean for the city? It means we can no longer rely on simple wards, Arya replied. We must deepen the bridge, expand our connection to the turning star, and prepare Babylon for the next convergence. The outer gate beckons. Arya and Nahir journeyed to the outskirts of the city, where the desert stretched endlessly. The outer gate, a place of ancient energy and cosmic significance, awaited them. This is where the cycles converge most intensely, Arya said. Any direct confrontation with the sleeper must occur here. It's the anchor point of reality, the crossroads of dream and waking world. The air shimmered with raw energy. Sand rippled as if alive, responding to unseen forces. Faint whispers echoed through the dunes, fragmented memories of past cycles, warnings from the city, and echoes of the sleeper itself. Nahir felt a chill run down his spine. This place, it's alive. Arya nodded. Yes, and it senses us as well. The sleeper will come here, and when it does, everything will be tested. A growing threat. As night fell, subtle distortions appeared across the city. Wards flickered with faint instability. Shadows danced unnaturally, and distant citizens reported strange dreams, vivid and almost tangible. Arya and Nahir moved swiftly, reinforcing the wards and connecting the city more deeply to the outer gate. The silver feather pulsed in rhythm with the turning star, translating Nahir's will into protective energy that spread throughout Babylon. The sleeper is probing again, Arya said. But this time it's not just testing the city. It's testing us. Our resolve, our unity, our strength. Nahir tightened his grip on the feather. We won't falter. Arya smiled faintly. We cannot afford to. Babylon's cycles, its people, the turning star, all rely on us. The first sign. From the desert horizon, a ripple appeared. Not just a wave of shadow, but a coherent, almost solid distortion, moving toward the city. The air grew heavy, charged with a strange energy that made the hairs on Nahir's arms stand on end. Arya extended her hands, silver energy flaring outward, connecting the wards to the outer gate. "The first ripple of the sleeper's next convergence," she said. "It will grow stronger. We must hold it until the full arrival." Nahir raised the silver feather, projecting beams of protective light. The first shadows collided with the wards, dissipating in sparks of silver energy. But more ripples followed, each larger, each more intelligent, each more adaptive. A vision from the turning star. As they worked, Nahir felt the silver feather pulse violently, projecting visions into his mind. He saw Babylon in multiple states, peaceful, fractured, overrun by shadow, transformed into a city of light. At the center, the turning star hovered, its glow bending reality, anchoring the cycles, yet under strain. Arya placed a hand on his shoulder. "These are possibilities, Nahir. The sleeper tests not only the city, but our perception of it. We must anchor ourselves in reality, in the cycles, and in our will." Nahir nodded, drawing a deep breath. "I understand. We hold Babylon, whatever it takes." The feather pulsed softly, synchronizing with the turning star, translating their combined will into protective energy flowing through the wards and city. The calm before the storm. As night deepened, the city seemed to hold its breath. Citizens slept, unaware of the cosmic energy converging above and beneath them. The desert hummed softly, the outer gate pulsing faintly with potential energy. Arya and Nahir stood atop the temple of Nannar, gazing toward the horizon. "The sleeper's full arrival is imminent," she said quietly. "And when it comes, Babylon, the cycles, and we ourselves will be tested like never before." Nahir gripped the silver feather tightly. "We are ready. Whatever it brings, we face it together." Arya nodded, her silver eyes reflecting the turning star's light. Together, always. The desert beyond shimmered faintly, a silent reminder that the cycles were eternal, the sleeper patient, and the bridge vigilant. The desert beyond Babylon shimmered under the silver glow of the turning star. The city lay quiet, yet the pulse beneath the sands had grown strong, insistent, undeniable. Tonight, the sleeper would arrive fully. Arya and Nahir stood atop the temple of Nannar, the silver feather in Nahir's hand glowing with a steady, urgent rhythm. "The convergence is complete," Arya whispered. "The sleeper comes now, and the cycles demand a true test of the bridge." Nahir tightened his grip on the feather. "Then let it come. We will hold Babylon." The sleeper's full arrival. From the distant dunes, the sleeper emerged in its true form, colossal, semi-corporeal, a swirl of shadow and silver light that dwarfed the city. Its single eye glowed crimson, scanning every ward, every street, every citizen. The desert trembled under its presence. The sleeper's layered, omniscient voice echoed through their minds. "Bridge of cycles, your city, your will, your resolve will now be tested fully. The dream is eternal. Reality bends to me." Arya's silver eyes blazed. "We are the bridge. We anchor the cycles. Babylon will not fall." Nahir raised the silver feather, projecting protective beams across the city, while Arya reinforced the wards with cascading waves of silver energy. The turning star pulsed fiercely above, its light synchronizing with the bridge to stabilize reality. Cosmic confrontation. The sleeper unleashed waves of dream energy directly into the city. Streets twisted like molten wax, buildings flickered between past and future forms, and shadows of lost lives merged with new phantoms. Nahir's pulse raced. He projected beams from the silver feather, striking each wave of energy. Arya's hands flared, weaving intricate patterns into the wards, stabilizing reality. The sleeper adapted instantly, its waves flowing around the protective lattice, probing for weaknesses. It was intelligent, reactive, almost sentient in its attack. "We must hold it together, Nahir," Arya shouted. "Focus your will. Anchor the city, a battle of mind and spirit. The sleepers' assault penetrated their minds. Visions of Babylon in ruin, citizens trapped in endless loops, the turning star fractured and dimming. Fear, doubt, and regret assaulted Nahir and Arya simultaneously. Anchor yourself, Arya shouted, silver light flaring. It feeds on hesitation. Nahir drew a deep breath, centering his thoughts on Babylon, its people, and the turning star. The feather pulsed violently, translating his will into protective energy that reinforced the wards. The sleeper recoiled slightly. The city shimmered with synchronized energy, stronger than the waves themselves. Unity and power. Together, Arya and Nahir formed a channel of energy stronger than the sleeper anticipated. Silver light cascaded through the city, connecting each ward, each street, each citizen unknowingly into the bridge. The sleeper hesitated, massive form wavering. Waves of energy momentarily halted, pulsed, assessing, calculating. Arya's silver eyes softened but remained determined. We hold the cycles, we hold Babylon, and we will endure. The waves of the sleeper began to retreat slowly, dissolving back into the desert. The turning star pulsed one final time, anchoring the city fully, stabilizing reality. A moment of silence. Babylon was quiet. Citizens slept peacefully, unaware of the cosmic confrontation that had just occurred. The wards glimmered faintly across streets, still holding strong. Arya and Nahir stood atop the temple of Nannar, exhausted but resolute. The sleeper rests for now, Arya said softly, but it is patient, eternal. It will awaken again, and the cycles will demand a new bridge, and perhaps new sacrifices. Nahir looked at the silver feather. We will be ready. Arya nodded. Always. Together, we remain the bridge. The desert beyond shimmered faintly, a reminder that the cycles continued. The sleeper was vigilant, and Babylon's guardians were awake. A hint of the future. As dawn painted the city in gold and silver, Arya and Nahir gazed toward the desert horizon. Faint ripples shimmered in the distance, subtle but distinct. The next convergence. It will be greater, Arya said quietly. We must continue preparing, expanding the bridge, and deepening our connection to the turning star. Nahir nodded. Whatever comes, we face it together. The turning star glimmered one final time, a cosmic heartbeat stabilizing the cycles. And deep beneath the sands, the sleeper rested, dreaming quietly, waiting for the next convergence, patient, eternal, and aware. The story was far from over. The cycles continued, and the bridge remained vigilant. The city of Babylon slept under the gentle glow of the turning star, unaware that the cycles were shifting once more. Beneath the desert sands, subtle ripples of energy moved, signaling the sleeper's adaptation. It had learned from its previous confrontations and was preparing for a more intricate assault. Arya stood atop the temple of Nannar, silver eyes reflecting the star's light. The sleeper evolves, she whispered. Each convergence teaches it, shapes it, makes it more intelligent, more dangerous. Nahir held the silver feather, its glow faint but steady. How do we fight something that grows stronger every time? Arya's gaze hardened. We do not fight. We adapt. We expand the bridge. Babylon itself will become part of the cycle, a living anchor. And we will become the eternal link. Signs of evolution. As night fell, the desert shimmered unnaturally. Sand rippled in waves, faint figures of shadow and silver forming and dissolving in the distance. These were not simple projections. They were fragments of the sleeper's consciousness, testing the city, probing for weaknesses. Arya extended her hands, silver energy radiating outward. We must deepen our connection to the turning star, she said. The city, the wards, the people. They must all be part of the bridge. Nahir nodded, raising the silver feather. Its pulses synchronized with the turning star, projecting energy across Babylon, reinforcing the wards and stabilizing reality. The first wave of evolution arrived. Subtle distortions in the city, fleeting shadows, and phantoms of potential futures appearing briefly in alleyways and streets. "They are probes," Arya whispered. "The sleeper is learning faster than before." The outer gate resonates. The outer gate, ancient and powerful, pulsed faintly with energy. It had always been the anchor of Babylon's cycles, the cosmic fulcrum where dream and reality intertwined. Tonight, it resonated more intensely than ever. "This is where the next convergence will peak," Arya said. "Any direct encounter with the sleeper must occur here. The city's wards alone cannot hold it. We must channel its energy into the gate." Nahir felt the weight of the responsibility. The city, the cycles, and the gate all rely on us. Arya nodded. "Yes, and the sleeper knows this. It will test us more thoroughly than ever." The first ripple of the new convergence. From the horizon, a faint ripple of silver and shadow emerged, moving toward Babylon with intent. Unlike previous probes, this one carried purpose. It was precise, intelligent, and adaptive. Nahir projected beams of silver light from the feather, forming protective lattices across the city. Arya reinforced the wards with intricate silver energy patterns, connecting the city to the outer gate. "The sleeper evolves, and we must evolve faster," Arya said. "Every ward, every citizen, every street becomes part of the bridge. We anchor reality itself." The ripple collided with the protective lattice. Buildings shivered, streets flickered, and faint phantoms of the sleeper's consciousness danced in the air. But the city held, a vision of potential futures. The silver feather pulsed violently, projecting visions into Nahir's mind. He saw Babylon in multiple states, cities thriving under radiant light, streets fractured by shadows, citizens trapped in loops. The turning star fractured, faint and unstable, the city glowing as a living, interconnected bridge. Arya placed her hand on his shoulder. "These are possibilities," she said. "The sleeper is testing them. We must anchor the most stable outcome. We do this together." Nahir drew a deep breath, focusing on the city, the people, and the turning star. The feather pulsed softly, translating their combined will into protective energy that flowed through the city. The calm before the next storm. Night deepened, and Babylon seemed to hold its breath. Citizens slept unaware, yet the city itself shimmered faintly with the energy of the bridge. "The sleeper's full arrival is imminent," Arya said quietly. "It will be unlike anything before. It has evolved, and the cycles will demand more from us than ever." Nahir tightened his grip on the feather. "We are ready. Whatever comes, we face it together." Arya nodded, eyes reflecting the turning star's silver glow. "Together, always." The desert beyond shimmered faintly, a reminder that the cycles were eternal. The sleeper was vigilant, and Babylon's guardians were awake. The desert beyond Babylon shimmered with an eerie silver glow under the turning star. The city lay silent, its wards faintly pulsating, as though the streets themselves were holding their breath. Arya and Nahir stood atop the temple of Nannar, facing the horizon. From the distant dunes, the sleeper emerged in a form more terrifying than ever before. Towering, semi-corporeal, a swirl of silver light and shadow, pulsating with raw intelligence. "The cycles demand a test unlike any we've faced," Arya said quietly. "The sleeper has evolved. Tonight, it will confront us fully." Nahir's hand tightened around the silver feather. "We are ready. We face it together." The sleeper's full escalation. With a surge, the sleeper's presence crashed toward the city. Dream energy waves rolled across the streets, bending reality. Buildings flickered between past and possible futures. Streets twisted, and phantoms of forgotten lives merged with shadows of potential realities. The single crimson eye scanned the city, calculating, probing, adapting. "Bridge of cycles, your strength is commendable, but can you endure eternity?" Arya extended her hands, silver light flaring outward, anchoring the wards. "We are the bridge. We anchor reality. Babylon will not fall." Nahir projected beams from the silver feather, combining his energy with Arya's to form an unbreakable lattice across the city. The sleeper recoiled briefly, waves of energy dissipating into sparks of silver light. It adapted instantly, forming new waves, more intricate, more intelligent, more relentless. A battle beyond reality. The waves assaulted their minds as well as the city. Visions of Babylon in ruin, citizens trapped in endless loops, and the turning star shattered assaulted their consciousness. Fear, doubt, and regret surged within Nahir and Arya. "Anchor yourselves," Arya shouted, silver energy radiating outward. "It feeds on hesitation." Nahir focused on the city, the citizens, and the turning star. The silver feather pulsed violently, translating his will into protective energy that reinforced the wards. The sleeper's massive form wavered, momentarily halted by the unity of their will. The city shimmered, stabilized, anchored by the strength of the bridge. Unity against the sleeper. Together, Arya and Nahir formed a channel of energy stronger than the sleeper anticipated. Silver light cascaded through Babylon, connecting every ward, every street, and every citizen unknowingly into the bridge. The sleeper hesitated, massive form pulsating, waves of energy retreating slightly. It had not anticipated such a perfect synchrony of will, city, and cosmic anchor. Arya's silver eyes softened but remained resolute. "We hold the cycles. We hold Babylon. We endure." The turning star pulsed fiercely above, stabilizing reality. The sleeper's waves began to dissipate, retreating into the desert, leaving the city calm, wards glowing faintly. A cosmic pause. The city was quiet. Citizens slept peacefully, unaware of the full-scale cosmic confrontation. The wards glimmered softly, still holding strong. Arya and Nahir stood atop the temple of Nannar, exhausted yet vigilant. "The sleeper rests for now," Arya whispered, "but it is patient, eternal. It will awaken again, more intelligent, more dangerous." Nahir glanced at the silver feather. "We will be ready. Whatever comes, we face it together." Arya nodded. "Always. Together, we remain the bridge." The desert beyond shimmered faintly, a silent reminder that the cycles continued. The sleeper watched, and Babylon's guardians were awake. A hint of greater threats. As dawn painted Babylon in gold and silver, faint ripples appeared in the distant desert. Unlike before, these ripples carried intention. They were deliberate, a sign that the sleeper's evolution was accelerating. "The next convergence, it will be unlike anything we've faced," Arya said softly. "We must expand the bridge, deepen our connection to the turning star, and prepare for the inevitable." Nahir nodded. "Whatever comes, we face it together." The turning star glimmered one final time, anchoring the cycles. Beneath the sands, the sleeper rested, dreaming quietly, patient, aware, waiting for the next convergence. The story was far from over. The cycles continued, and the bridge remained vigilant, eternal, and ready. The city of Babylon glimmered under the steady light of the turning star, yet the air carried a subtle tension. Though the last confrontation had ended, the desert beneath the city hummed faintly, ripples of energy betraying the sleeper's continued awareness. It had not forgotten. It had not rested. It had evolved. Arya stood atop the temple of Nannar, silver eyes scanning the horizon. "The sleeper adapts," she said quietly. "Every convergence teaches it, shaping its consciousness. It grows stronger, faster, smarter." Nahir held the silver feather tightly, its pulses now rhythmic with the turning star. "How do we prepare for something that improves every time we face it?" Arya's gaze hardened. "We evolve as well. We expand the bridge. Babylon itself becomes part of the cycle, and we become the eternal anchors." Signs of the sleeper's evolution. As night fell, subtle distortions began appearing across the city. Shadows moved unnaturally, streets flickered, and faint silhouettes of past and potential futures appeared fleetingly. These were not mere phantoms. They were fragments of the sleeper's consciousness, probing and learning. Arya extended her hands, silver energy flaring outward. "We must connect the city more deeply to the turning star," she explained. Every citizen, every street, every ward must become part of the bridge. Nahir synchronized his pulses with the silver feather. Energy radiated outward, stabilizing the wards, reinforcing the city against the approaching subtle wave of the sleepers probing. "These are not attacks," Arya said quietly. "They are tests. The sleeper is learning faster than ever before." The outer gate resonates again. The outer gate, ancient and powerful, pulsed faintly in the desert beyond. It had always served as the anchor of Babylon's cycles, where dream and reality intertwined. Tonight, it resonated more strongly than ever. "The next convergence will peak here," Arya said, gesturing toward the shimmering sands. "We cannot rely solely on the city's wards. We must channel the sleeper's energy into the gate itself." Nahir's pulse quickened. "The city, the citizens, the gate. Everything depends on us." Arya nodded. "And the sleeper knows this. It will push us harder than ever before." The first ripple of a new convergence. From the horizon, a subtle ripple emerged, weaving silver and shadow across the desert. Unlike previous probes, this one was precise, adaptive, and intentional, carrying fragments of intelligence from the sleeper. Nahir raised the silver feather, projecting beams of protective light. Arya reinforced the wards, connecting the city more deeply to the outer gate. "The sleeper evolves," Arya murmured, "and we must evolve faster. Every street, every citizen, every ward becomes part of the bridge. We anchor reality itself." The ripple collided with the protective lattice. Buildings shivered, shadows twisted, and fleeting phantoms of the sleeper's consciousness danced in the air. Yet the city held, shimmering faintly, stabilized by their combined will. Visions of potential futures. The silver feather pulsed violently, projecting visions into Nahir's mind. He saw Babylon in multiple states, glowing and thriving under radiant light. Streets fractured and shadowed, citizens trapped in endless loops. The turning star fractured and faint. The city fully integrated into a living bridge of energy. Arya placed a hand on his shoulder. "These are possibilities," she said. "The sleeper tests them. We must anchor the most stable outcome. And we do this together." Nahir drew a deep breath, centering himself on Babylon, its people, and the turning star. The feather pulsed softly, translating their will into energy that flowed through every street and ward of the city. The calm before the storm. Night deepened, and Babylon seemed to hold its breath. Citizens slept peacefully, unaware of the cosmic energy converging above and beneath them. The wards shimmered softly, stabilizing reality. "The sleeper's full arrival is imminent," Arya said quietly. "It has evolved, and the cycles will demand more from us than ever before." Nahir tightened his grip on the feather. "We are ready. Whatever comes, we face it together." Arya's silver eyes reflected the turning star's light. Together, always, the desert beyond shimmered faintly, a reminder that the cycles were eternal, the sleeper vigilant, and Babylon's guardians awake. The desert beyond Babylon shimmered with an intense silver glow under the turning star. The city lay calm, yet every ward pulsed nervously, as if aware of the approaching force. Tonight, the sleeper would escalate its presence. More intelligent, more adaptive, more relentless. Arya and Nahir stood atop the Temple of Nanar. From the distant dunes, the sleeper emerged fully, towering, semi-corporeal. A swirl of shadow and silver light, its single crimson eye glowing with predatory intelligence. "The cycles demand a test unlike any we've faced," Arya said, voice firm. "The sleeper has evolved. Tonight, Babylon, the turning star, and the bridge itself will be tested." Nahir tightened his grip on the silver feather. "We are ready. Together, we face it. The sleeper's escalation." With a surge, the sleeper's presence struck the city. Waves of dream energy rolled through streets, bending reality, flickering buildings between past and potential futures, and shadow phantoms merging with spectral fragments of lost lives. "Bridge of cycles, your strength is commendable. But can you endure eternity?" Arya's silver eyes flared. "We are the bridge. Babylon will not fall. Nahir projected beams from the silver feather, combining energy with areas to form a protective lattice across the city. The turning star pulsed fiercely, syncing with the bridge, stabilizing reality. The sleeper's waves adapted instantly, flowing around the lattice, probing for vulnerabilities. It was intelligent, adaptive, relentless, a battle beyond reality. The waves assaulted their minds as well as the city. Visions of Babylon in ruin, citizens trapped in endless loops. The turning star fractured. Fear, doubt, and regret surged within Arya and Nahir. "Anchor yourselves," Arya shouted, silver energy radiating outward. "It feeds on hesitation." Nahir focused on the city, citizens, and the turning star. The feather pulsed violently, translating his will into protective energy that reinforced the wards. The sleeper's massive form wavered, briefly halted by the unity of their will. The city shimmered, stabilized, anchored by the strength of the bridge. Unity against the sleeper. Together, Arya and Nahir formed a channel of energy stronger than the sleeper anticipated. Silver light cascaded through Babylon, connecting every ward, street, and citizen into the bridge. The sleeper hesitated, massive form pulsating, waves of energy retreating slightly. It had not anticipated such perfect synchrony of will, city, and cosmic anchor. Arya's eyes softened but remained resolute. "We hold the cycles. We hold Babylon. We endure." The turning star pulsed fiercely above, anchoring reality. The sleeper's waves dissipated, retreating into the desert. The city calmed, wards glowing faintly. A cosmic pause. The city slept peacefully. Citizens were unaware of the cosmic confrontation. The wards shimmered softly, still holding strong. Arya and Nahir stood atop the temple of Nannar, exhausted yet vigilant. "The sleeper rests for now," Arya whispered, "but it is eternal, patient, and aware. It will awaken again, stronger and smarter." Nahir glanced at the silver feather. "We will be ready. Whatever comes, we face it together." Arya nodded. "Always, together, we remain the bridge." A hint of greater threats. As dawn painted Babylon in gold and silver, faint ripples shimmered in the desert horizon. Unlike before, these ripples carried intent, a deliberate sign that the sleeper's evolution was accelerating. "The next convergence, it will surpass anything we've faced," Arya said softly. "We must expand the bridge, deepen the turning star connection, and prepare for the inevitable." Nahir nodded. "Whatever comes, we face it together." The turning star glimmered one final time, stabilizing the cycles. Beneath the sands, the sleeper rested, dreaming quietly, patient, aware, waiting for the next convergence. Next season tease. Far beyond Babylon, in the shadowed corners of the cycles, new ripples emerged, subtle distortions, faint energies, hints of cosmic beings yet unseen. The sleeper's evolution was only one thread of the greater tapestry. New forces were stirring, drawn to the turning star, curious and patient. Arya and Nahir watched the horizon, feeling the weight of their role. "The cycles continue," Arya whispered. "The bridge remains vigilant, but there are other awakenings, other challenges." The desert shimmered, the outer gate pulsing faintly, and the turning star glimmered, a silent promise that the story was far from over. Babylon's guardians were awake, the sleeper patient, and new cosmic mysteries awaited. The next convergence would come, and the bridge would stand ready. Babylon lay under the serene glow of the turning star, yet the city's calm belied the subtle tension threading through the desert. The cycles had shifted. The sleeper had evolved again, growing more intelligent, more patient, and more observant. Arya stood atop the temple of Nannar, her silver eyes scanning the distant dunes. "The sleeper adapts," she whispered. "Every convergence teaches it, reshapes its consciousness. It is no longer just a force, it is a strategist." Nahir's hand tightened around the silver feather, pulsing in sync with the turning star. "How do we prepare for something that grows smarter with every encounter?" Arya's gaze hardened. We evolve as well. The bridge is no longer just energy. It must become a living network. Babylon itself becomes the anchor, and we, the eternal link. The sleeper's new intelligence. Night fell, and subtle distortions appeared across the city. Shadows moved unnaturally. Streets flickered as if reality itself hesitated. Fragments of past cycles, memories, possibilities, potential futures, manifested as phantoms, testing the city's defenses. These are not attacks, Arya murmured. They are calculations. The sleeper is learning faster than ever before. Nahir projected beams of silver light from the feather, forming protective patterns across Babylon. Arya's hands flared, weaving intricate energy networks into the wards, connecting each street, each building, each citizen into the bridge. The city itself began to pulse, vibrating gently as the bridge extended deeper, preparing for the sleeper's next convergence. The outer gate awakens. The outer gate pulsed faintly in the desert beyond Babylon, ancient and omnipotent. It had always served as the anchor of the cycles, the cosmic fulcrum where dream and reality intertwined. Arya gestured toward the gate. The next convergence will peak there. The sleeper's intelligence grows, and we must channel its energy, not just resist it. Nahir's pulse synchronized with the silver feather, radiating protective energy across the city. The citizens, the wards, the gate. Everything depends on us, he said. Arya nodded. And the sleeper knows this. It will probe every weakness, every hesitation. First ripple of the new convergence. From the horizon, a subtle ripple emerged, weaving silver and shadow across the desert. This ripple was precise, adaptive, purposeful, no longer random but a deliberate probe of the city's defenses. Nahir raised the silver feather, projecting protective beams. Arya reinforced the wards, connecting the city more deeply to the outer gate. The sleeper evolves, Arya said, and we must evolve faster. Every street, every citizen, every ward must be part of the bridge. We anchor reality itself. The ripple collided with the lattice. Buildings shivered, shadows twisted, phantoms flickered and merged. But the city held, stabilized by the unity of Arya and Nahir. Visions of potential futures. The silver feather pulsed violently, projecting visions into Nahir's mind. He saw Babylon in multiple states, glowing and thriving under radiant light. Streets fractured by shadows, citizens trapped in loops. The turning star fractured and faint. Babylon fully integrated into a living, pulsating bridge of energy. Arya placed a hand on his shoulder. These are possibilities, she said. The sleeper tests them. We must anchor the most stable outcome. And we do it together. Nahir drew a deep breath, centering on the city, its people, and the turning star. The feather pulsed softly, translating their combined will into protective energy flowing through the streets. The calm before the storm. Night deepened, and Babylon held its breath. Citizens slept peacefully, unaware of the cosmic tension hovering above and beneath them. The sleeper's full arrival is imminent, Arya whispered. It has evolved again, and the cycles demand more than ever before. Nahir tightened his grip on the feather. We are ready. Whatever comes, we face it together. Arya's silver eyes reflected the turning star's light. Together, always. The desert shimmered faintly, a reminder that the cycles were eternal, the sleeper vigilant, and Babylon's guardians awake. The desert beyond Babylon shimmered with a silver glow under the turning star. The city lay calm, yet every ward pulsed nervously, sensing the sleeper's approaching force. This time, the sleeper was not just stronger. It was intelligent, adaptive, and patient, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Arya and Nahir stood atop the temple of Nannar. From the distant dunes, the sleeper emerged in its most terrifying form yet towering, semi-corporeal, a swirl of silver light and shadow, its single crimson eye glimmering with strategic awareness. The cycles demand a test unlike any we've faced, Arya said, voice firm. The sleeper has evolved. Tonight, Babylon, the turning star, and the bridge itself will be challenged. Nahir tightened his grip on the silver feather. We are ready. Together we face it. The sleeper's full escalation. With a surge, the sleeper's presence crashed into the city. Dream energy waves distorted reality, twisting buildings between past and potential futures, merging shadows with phantoms of lost lives. Bridge of cycles, your resilience is impressive. But can you endure eternity? Arya extended her hands, silver energy flaring outward, reinforcing the wards. We are the bridge. Babylon will not fall. Nahir projected beams from the silver feather, combining energy with areas, forming an unbreakable lattice across the city. The turning star pulsed fiercely, syncing with the bridge, stabilizing reality. The sleeper adapted instantly, weaving around the lattice, probing for vulnerabilities. It was intelligent, reactive, relentless, a battle beyond reality. The waves assaulted not only the city but also their minds. Visions of Babylon in ruin, citizens trapped in endless loops, and the turning star fractured assaulted Arya and Nahir simultaneously. Fear, doubt, and regret surged. Anchor yourselves, Arya shouted, silver energy radiating outward. It feeds on hesitation. Nahir focused on the city, its citizens, and the turning star. The silver feather pulsed violently, translating his will into protective energy that reinforced the wards. The sleeper's massive form wavered, briefly halted by the unity of their will. The city shimmered, stabilized, anchored by the strength of the bridge. Unity against the sleeper. Together, Arya and Nahir formed a channel of energy stronger than the sleeper anticipated. Silver light cascaded through Babylon, connecting every ward, street, and citizen into the bridge. The sleeper hesitated, massive form pulsating, waves of energy retreating slightly. It had not anticipated such perfect synchrony of will, city, and cosmic anchor. Arya's eyes softened but remained resolute. We hold the cycles. We hold Babylon. We endure. The turning star pulsed fiercely above, anchoring reality. The sleeper's waves dissipated, retreating into the desert. The city calmed, wards glowing faintly. A cosmic pause. The city slept peacefully. Citizens were unaware of the cosmic confrontation. The wards shimmered softly, still holding strong. Arya and Nahir stood atop the temple of Nannar, exhausted yet vigilant. The sleeper rests for now, Arya whispered, but it is eternal, patient, and aware. It will awaken again, stronger, smarter, and more strategic. Nahir glanced at the silver feather. We will be ready. Whatever comes, we face it together. Arya nodded. Always, together, we remain the bridge. A hint of greater threats. As dawn painted Babylon in gold and silver, faint ripples shimmered in the desert horizon. Unlike before, these ripples carried intent, a deliberate sign that the sleeper's evolution was accelerating. The next convergence, it will surpass anything we've faced, Arya said softly. We must expand the bridge, deepen the turning star connection, and prepare for the inevitable. Nahir nodded. Whatever comes, we face it together. The turning star glimmered one final time, stabilizing the cycles. Beneath the sands, the sleeper rested, dreaming quietly, patient, aware, waiting for the next convergence. Next season tease. Far beyond Babylon, in the shadowed corners of the cycles, new ripples emerged, subtle distortions, faint energies, hints of cosmic beings yet unseen. The sleeper's evolution was only one thread of a greater tapestry. New forces were stirring, drawn to the turning star, curious, patient, and aware. Arya and Nahir gazed toward the horizon, feeling the weight of their role. The cycles continue, Arya whispered. The bridge remains vigilant, but other awakenings, other threats are coming. The desert shimmered, the outer gate pulsing faintly, and the turning star glimmered, a silent promise that the story was far from over. Babylon's guardians were awake, the sleeper patient, and new cosmic mysteries awaited. The next convergence would come, and the bridge would stand ready. Babylon shimmered under the turning star's soft glow, but the calm was fragile. The city had survived previous convergences, yet the desert beyond held silent, patient forces, ancient energies that stirred as if waiting for a signal. Arya stood atop the temple of Nannar, silver eyes scanning the horizon. "The sleeper evolves with every cycle," she whispered. "Each test makes it smarter, more cunning. But it is not the only threat anymore." Nahir's hand gripped the silver feather, its pulse steady. "What do you mean?" he asked. Arya's gaze hardened. "Other cosmic entities are observing the turning star. The sleeper's awakening is only one thread of a greater tapestry. Soon we will face forces beyond comprehension, forces that may not be neutral. We must prepare Babylon for the next evolution of the cycles." Signs of new cosmic forces. Night fell, and subtle disturbances appeared across the city. Buildings flickered between possible pasts and futures. Shadows moved unnaturally. The air carried faint whispers, distant echoes of entities watching, calculating. "These are not sleeper projections," Arya said. "They are observers. They test our vigilance, our capacity to maintain the bridge." Nahir projected silver light from the feather, stabilizing wards and reinforcing the city's energy patterns. Arya's hands flared, weaving the city's wards into more intricate networks, preparing for the convergence of multiple cosmic threads. The city itself pulsed, vibrating gently as the bridge extended deeper, anchoring every street, every building, every citizen into a network of silver energy. The outer gate and the cosmic thread. The outer gate pulsed faintly, ancient and omnipotent. It had always been the anchor of Babylon's cycles, the cosmic fulcrum where dream and reality intertwined. Arya gestured toward the desert. "The next convergence will peak here, but it will not be just the sleeper. Other entities are drawn to the turning star. We must channel energy intelligently, not just resist." Nahir's pulse synchronized with the silver feather, radiating protective energy across the city. "The citizens, the wards, the gate, all are part of the bridge," he said. Arya nodded. "The sleeper is intelligent, but these observers are strategic. They will test every weakness, every hesitation. The first ripple of a greater convergence." From the horizon, ripples appeared, weaving silver, shadow, and faint threads of cosmic energy across the desert. These ripples were deliberate, probing the city's defenses, carrying fragments of intelligence from unseen entities as well as the sleeper. Nahir raised the silver feather, projecting protective beams. Arya reinforced the wards, connecting the city more deeply to the outer gate. "The sleeper is no longer alone," Arya said. "We must evolve faster. Every street, every citizen, every ward must be part of the bridge. We anchor reality itself." The ripples collided with the lattice. Buildings shivered, shadows twisted, phantoms flickered and merged. But Babylon held, stabilized by the unity of Arya and Nahir. Visions of multiple futures. The silver feather pulsed violently, projecting visions into Nahir's mind. He saw Babylon in multiple states, glowing and thriving under radiant light. Streets fractured by shadows, citizens trapped in loops. The turning star fractured and faint. Babylon fully integrated into a living, pulsating bridge. New, unfamiliar cosmic forces looming over the city, observing, waiting. Arya placed a hand on his shoulder. "These are possibilities," she said. "The sleeper tests us, but these new forces will test us even more. We must anchor the most stable outcome, and we do it together." Nahir drew a deep breath, centering himself on the city, its people, and the turning star. The feather pulsed softly, translating their will into protective energy flowing through every street and ward of Babylon. The calm before the storm. Night deepened, and Babylon held its breath. Citizens slept peacefully, unaware of the cosmic convergence hovering above and beneath them. "The sleeper's next arrival is imminent," Arya whispered, "and it will not come alone. Other entities will test our strength, patience, and unity." Nahir tightened his grip on the feather. "We are ready. Whatever comes, we face it together. Arya's silver eyes reflected the turning star's glow. Together, always, the desert shimmered faintly, a reminder that the cycles were eternal, the sleeper vigilant, new cosmic forces watching, and Babylon's guardians awake. The desert beyond Babylon shimmered with threads of silver and shadow under the turning star. The city lay calm, yet every ward pulsed nervously, sensing the approach of the sleeper and new cosmic forces. This was no longer a battle of energy alone. It was a test of strategy, unity, and patience. Arya and Nahir stood atop the temple of Nannar. From the distant dunes, the sleeper emerged in its most advanced form, yet towering, semi-corporeal, swirling with silver light and shadow, its single crimson eye glowing with intelligence. Beside it, faint shimmering forms moved, new cosmic observers, curious, calculating, assessing the city's defenses. The cycles demand a test unlike any we've faced, Arya said, voice firm. The sleeper has evolved, and it is no longer alone. Nahir tightened his grip on the silver feather. We are ready. Together, we face them. The sleeper and cosmic forces escalate. With a surge, the sleeper struck the city, sending waves of dream energy that twisted streets and warped buildings between past and potential futures. The cosmic observers amplified these waves, subtly distorting reality with intelligence and strategy. Bridge of cycles, resilience is commendable. But can you endure eternity, now tested by multiple threads? Arya extended her hands, silver energy flaring outward, anchoring the wards. We are the bridge. Babylon will not fall. Nahir projected beams from the silver feather, combining energy with Arya's, forming a multi-layered lattice that intertwined with the city's wards. The turning star pulsed, syncing with the bridge, stabilizing reality. The sleeper and observers adapted instantly, weaving around the lattice, probing for weaknesses. They were intelligent, reactive, relentless. Battle beyond reality. The waves assaulted both mind and city. Visions of Babylon in ruin. Citizens trapped in loops. The turning star shattered. Fear, doubt, and regret surged within Arya and Nahir. Anchor yourselves, Arya shouted, silver energy radiating outward. It feeds on hesitation. Nahir focused on the city, citizens, and the turning star. The feather pulsed violently, translating their will into protective energy that reinforced the wards. The sleeper and observers wavered briefly, halted by the unity of Arya and Nahir. The city shimmered, stabilized, anchored by the strength of the bridge. Unity against multiple threats. Together, Arya and Nahir formed a channel of energy stronger than the sleeper and cosmic observers anticipated. Silver light cascaded through Babylon, connecting every ward, street, and citizen into the bridge. The sleeper and observers hesitated, waves of energy retreating slightly. They had not anticipated such perfect synchrony of will, city, and cosmic anchor. Arya's eyes softened but remained resolute. We hold the cycles. We hold Babylon. We endure. The turning star pulsed fiercely above, anchoring reality. The sleeper and observers' waves dissipated, retreating into the desert. The city calmed, wards glowing faintly. A cosmic pause. The city slept peacefully. Citizens were unaware of the cosmic confrontation. The wards shimmered softly, holding strong. Arya and Nahir stood atop the temple of Nannar, exhausted yet vigilant. The sleeper rests for now, Arya whispered, but it is eternal, patient, aware, and now watched by other cosmic entities. We must remain vigilant. Nahir glanced at the silver feather. We will be ready. Whatever comes, we face it together. Arya nodded. Always, together, we remain the bridge. A hint of greater threats. As dawn painted Babylon in gold and silver, faint ripples shimmered in the distant desert. Unlike before, these ripples carried intent. A deliberate sign that the sleeper's evolution was accelerating, guided by unseen observers. The next convergence. It will surpass anything we've faced, Arya said softly. We must expand the bridge, deepen the turning star connection, and prepare for the inevitable. Nahir nodded. Whatever comes, we face it together. The turning star glimmered one final time, stabilizing the cycles. Beneath the sands, the sleeper rested, dreaming quietly, patient, aware, while new cosmic forces observed. Next season tease. Far beyond Babylon, in the shadowed corners of the cycles, new ripples emerged, subtle distortions, faint energies, and hints of cosmic beings yet unseen. The sleeper's evolution was only one thread of a greater tapestry. New forces were stirring, drawn to the turning star, patient, curious, and intelligent. Arya and Nahir gazed toward the horizon, feeling the weight of their role. The cycles continue, Arya whispered. The bridge remains vigilant, but other awakenings, other threats are coming. The desert shimmered, the outer gate pulsing faintly, and the turning star glimmered, a silent promise that the story was far from over. Babylon's guardians were awake, the sleeper patient, and new cosmic mysteries awaited. The next convergence would come, and the bridge would stand ready. Babylon glimmered under the turning star, streets silent, wards glowing faintly. The city's calm was deceptive. The desert beyond held subtle pulses, threads of energy that hinted at the sleeper's awakening and unseen cosmic observers. Arya stood atop the Temple of Nannar, her silver eyes scanning the horizon. The sleeper evolves with each cycle, she whispered. It adapts, learns, and grows stronger. But there are new forces approaching, observers drawn by the turning star. Their intentions unclear, but their curiosity is undeniable. Nahir gripped the silver feather, its pulse steady and strong. How do we prepare for something we don't even understand? Arya's gaze hardened. By becoming stronger, smarter, and more unified, Babylon itself must evolve. The bridge must expand beyond energy. It must become a living network connecting every citizen, every street, every building. Signs of approaching forces. Night descended, and subtle distortions appeared across the city. Shadows flickered unnaturally. Buildings shifted between past and potential futures. Whispers echoed faintly, the distant voice of cosmic entities assessing Babylon's defenses. These are not sleeper projections, Arya said. They are observers. They test our vigilance, our capacity to maintain the bridge. Nahir projected silver light from the feather, stabilizing wards, reinforcing the city's energy. Arya's hands flared, weaving intricate networks into the wards, preparing for the convergence of multiple cosmic threads. The city pulsed gently as the bridge extended deeper, anchoring all aspects of Babylon into a living network of energy. The outer gate and the cosmic thread. The outer gate pulsed faintly, ancient and omnipotent. It had always been the anchor of Babylon's cycles, the fulcrum where dream and reality intertwined. Arya gestured toward the desert. The next convergence will peak here. The sleeper is evolving, and the observers are curious. We must channel energy intelligently, not just resist it. Nahir synchronized his pulse with the silver feather, radiating protective energy through the city. The citizens, the wards, the gate. Everything must be part of the bridge, he said. Arya nodded. The sleeper is smart, but these observers are strategic. They will test every hesitation, every flaw. The first ripple of the greater convergence. From the horizon, ripples appeared, weaving silver, shadow, and faint threads of cosmic energy across the desert. They were deliberate, probing Babylon's defenses, carrying fragments of intelligence from both the sleeper and unseen observers. Nahir raised the silver feather, projecting protective beams. Arya reinforced the wards, connecting the city more deeply to the outer gate. The sleeper is no longer alone, Arya said. We must evolve faster. Every street, every citizen, every ward must be part of the bridge. We anchor reality itself. The ripples collided with the lattice. Buildings shivered, shadows twisted, phantoms flickered and merged. But Babylon held, stabilized by the unity of Arya and Nahir. Visions of multiple futures. The silver feather pulsed violently, projecting visions into Nahir's mind. He saw Babylon in multiple states, glowing and thriving under radiant light. Streets fractured, citizens trapped in endless loops, the turning star fractured and faint. Babylon fully integrated into a living, pulsating bridge. New cosmic forces looming over the city, observing and calculating. Arya placed a hand on his shoulder. "These are possibilities," she said. "The sleeper tests us, but these new entities will challenge us even more. We must anchor the most stable outcome, and we do it together." Nahir drew a deep breath, centering himself on the city, its people, and the turning star. The feather pulsed softly, translating their will into protective energy flowing through every street and ward of Babylon. The calm before the storm. Night deepened, and Babylon held its breath. Citizens slept peacefully, unaware of the cosmic convergence looming above and beneath them. "The sleeper's next arrival is imminent," Arya whispered, "and it will not come alone. Other forces will test our strength, patience, and unity." Nahir tightened his grip on the feather. "We are ready. Whatever comes, we face it together." Arya's silver eyes reflected the turning star's glow. Together, always. The desert shimmered faintly, a reminder that the cycles were eternal. The sleeper vigilant, new cosmic forces observing, and Babylon's guardians awake. The desert beyond Babylon shimmered with threads of silver, shadow, and faint cosmic energy under the turning star. The city lay calm, yet every ward pulsed nervously, aware of the sleeper and new cosmic forces approaching. This was no longer a battle of energy alone. It was a test of unity, strategy, and patience. Arya and Nahir stood atop the Temple of Nannar. From the distant dunes, the sleeper emerged in its most advanced form yet, towering, semi-corporeal, swirling with silver light and shadow, its crimson eye glowing with intelligence. Around it, faint shimmering figures moved, cosmic observers calculating, assessing, and probing the city's defenses. "The cycles demand a test unlike any we've faced," Arya said, voice firm. "The sleeper has evolved, and it is no longer alone." Nahir tightened his grip on the silver feather. "We are ready. Together we face them." The sleeper and cosmic forces escalate. With a surge, the sleeper struck the city, sending waves of dream energy that twisted streets and warped buildings between past and potential futures. The cosmic observers amplified these waves, subtly distorting reality with intelligence and strategy. Bridge of cycles, resilience is commendable. But can you endure eternity, now tested by multiple threads? Arya extended her hands, silver energy flaring outward, reinforcing the wards. "We are the bridge. Babylon will not fall." Nahir projected beams from the silver feather, combining energy with Arya's, forming a multi-layered lattice that intertwined with the city's wards. The turning star pulsed, syncing with the bridge, stabilizing reality. The sleeper and observers adapted instantly, weaving around the lattice, probing for weaknesses. They were intelligent, reactive, relentless. Battle beyond reality. The waves assaulted both mind and city. Visions of Babylon in ruin. Citizens trapped in loops. The turning star shattered. Fear, doubt, and regret surged within Arya and Nahir. "Anchor yourselves," Arya shouted, silver energy radiating outward. "It feeds on hesitation." Nahir focused on the city, its citizens, and the turning star. The feather pulsed violently, translating their will into protective energy that reinforced the wards. The sleeper and observers wavered briefly, halted by the unity of Arya and Nahir. The city shimmered, stabilized, anchored by the strength of the bridge. Unity against multiple threats. Together, Arya and Nahir formed a channel of energy stronger than the sleeper and cosmic observers anticipated. Silver light cascaded through Babylon, connecting every ward, street, and citizen into the bridge. The sleeper and observers hesitated, waves of energy retreating slightly. They had not anticipated such perfect synchrony of will, city, and cosmic anchor. Arya's eyes softened but remained resolute. "We hold the cycles. We hold Babylon. We endure. The turning star pulsed fiercely above, anchoring reality. The sleeper and observer's waves dissipated, retreating into the desert. The city calmed, wards glowing faintly. A cosmic pause. The city slept peacefully. Citizens were unaware of the cosmic confrontation. The wards shimmered softly, holding strong. Arya and Nahir stood atop the temple of Nannar, exhausted yet vigilant. The sleeper rests for now, Arya whispered, but it is eternal, patient, aware, and now watched by other cosmic entities. We must remain vigilant. Nahir glanced at the silver feather. We will be ready. Whatever comes, we face it together. Arya nodded. Always, together, we remain the bridge. A hint of greater threats. As dawn painted Babylon in gold and silver, faint ripples shimmered in the distant desert. Unlike before, these ripples carried intent. A deliberate sign that the sleeper's evolution was accelerating, guided by unseen observers. The next convergence, it will surpass anything we've faced, Arya said softly. We must expand the bridge, deepen the turning star connection, and prepare for the inevitable. Nahir nodded. Whatever comes, we face it together. The turning star glimmered one final time, stabilizing the cycles. Beneath the sands, the sleeper rested, dreaming quietly, patient, aware, while new cosmic forces observed. Next season tease. Far beyond Babylon, in the shadowed corners of the cycles, new ripples emerged, subtle distortions, faint energies, and hints of cosmic beings yet unseen. The sleeper's evolution was only one thread of a greater tapestry. New forces were stirring, drawn to the turning star, patient, curious, and intelligent. Arya and Nahir gazed toward the horizon, feeling the weight of their role. The cycles continue, Arya whispered. The bridge remains vigilant, but other awakenings, other threats are coming. The desert shimmered, the outer gate pulsing faintly, and the turning star glimmered, a silent promise that the story was far from over. Babylon's guardians were awake, the sleeper patient, and new cosmic mysteries awaited. The next convergence would come, and the bridge would stand ready. Babylon lay under the turning star, calm yet vibrating with latent energy. The city had endured cycles, sleeper confrontations, and the emergence of cosmic observers. But the final convergence loomed, larger and more intricate than any before. Arya stood atop the temple of Nannar, silver eyes reflecting the star's glow. The sleeper has grown stronger, and the observers, they are patient. They will not act without purpose. This final convergence will test every aspect of the bridge. Nahir gripped the silver feather, its pulse steady but tense. How do we prepare for a convergence that surpasses all others? Arya's gaze hardened. By becoming more than guardians. Babylon itself must awaken. Every citizen, every street, every ward, every memory must integrate into the bridge. This is the final test of Season 1. Ripples of the ultimate convergence. From the desert beyond, subtle ripples emerged, weaving silver, shadow, and cosmic threads across the horizon. These threads carried intelligence. The sleepers and the observers combined strategy, probing the city's defenses in ways previously unseen. Nahir projected beams from the silver feather, stabilizing the wards and strengthening the city's lattice. Arya's hands glowed, weaving intricate patterns into the wards, expanding the bridge across Babylon's very essence. This is no longer a simple defense, Arya murmured. The city itself becomes the anchor. The bridge is alive. The sleeper evolves again. The sleeper emerged, more massive than ever, semi-corporeal. A swirl of silver and shadow with its crimson eye glowing with intelligence. Beside it, faint, shimmering cosmic observers hovered, analyzing, calculating, waiting for the optimal moment to strike. It tests our resolve, our unity, our very capacity to endure, Arya whispered. The sleeper's evolution has reached its peak, but the observers bring unknown variables. Nahir focused on the city, projecting protective energy from the feather, weaving it into the lattice of the bridge. The wards pulsed in response, stabilizing Babylon against the multi-threaded attack. The first clash of reality and dreams. The waves struck with unprecedented force. Streets flickered between past and potential futures. Shadows merged with phantoms. Reality itself twisted under the combined influence of the sleeper and cosmic observers. "Anchor yourselves," Arya shouted. "It feeds on hesitation." Nahir synchronized his pulse with the turning star, reinforcing the lattice through every street, every building, every citizen. The sleeper and observers adapted, probing weaknesses, recalculating in real time. But Babylon remained anchored, the bridge holding firm under Arya and Nahir's combined will. Visions of Babylon's possible futures. The silver feather pulsed violently, projecting visions into Nahir's mind. He saw multiple outcomes. Babylon glowing under radiant light, the turning star stable. Streets fractured, citizens trapped in endless loops. Wards failing, the city collapsing into shadow. Babylon fully integrated into a living, pulsating bridge. Cosmic forces observing, intrigued, and ready to intervene. Arya placed a hand on his shoulder. "These are possibilities," she said. "The sleeper and the observers test us. We must anchor the outcome that preserves the bridge and Babylon." The calm before the ultimate storm. Night deepened. Babylon held its breath. Citizens slept peacefully, unaware of the cosmic confrontation poised to erupt. "The final convergence is imminent," Arya whispered. "The sleeper, the observers, everything we've faced until now, it culminates tonight. We must hold." Nahir's grip on the silver feather tightened. "Whatever comes, we face it together." Arya's silver eyes reflected the turning star. Together, always. The desert shimmered faintly. The cycles eternal. The sleeper vigilant, new cosmic forces observing, and Babylon's guardians awake. The desert beyond Babylon shimmered with silver, shadow, and cosmic energy threads under the turning star. The city lay calm, yet wards pulsed nervously, sensing the sleeper and cosmic observers approaching the ultimate convergence. Arya and Nahir stood atop the temple of Nannar. From the distant dunes, the sleeper emerged in its most advanced form, towering, semi-corporeal, a swirl of silver light and shadow, its crimson eye glowing with intelligence. Around it, shimmering cosmic observers hovered, calculating, analyzing, and probing the city's defenses with patience and strategy. "This is it," Arya whispered. "The final convergence of Season 1. The sleeper, the observers, the turning star. Everything converges tonight." Nahir tightened his grip on the silver feather. "Whatever comes, we face it together. Ultimate escalation." The sleeper struck first, sending massive waves of dream energy that twisted streets and warped buildings between past and potential futures. The cosmic observers amplified these waves, adding subtle distortions that challenged even the city's wards. "Bridge of cycles. Can you endure eternity under multiple threads?" Arya extended her hands, silver energy flaring outward, reinforcing the wards. "We are the bridge. Babylon will not fall." Nahir projected beams from the silver feather, combining with Arya's energy to form a multi-layered lattice that intertwined with the city's wards. The turning star pulsed, syncing with the bridge, stabilizing reality. The sleeper and observers adapted instantly, weaving around the lattice, probing for weaknesses. They were intelligent, reactive, relentless. Battle beyond reality. The waves assaulted both mind and city. Visions of Babylon in ruin, citizens trapped in loops, and the turning star fractured surged through Arya and Nahir's minds. "Anchor yourselves," Arya shouted, silver energy radiating outward. "It feeds on hesitation." Nahir focused on the city, citizens, and the turning star. The feather pulsed violently, translating their will into protective energy that reinforced the wards. The sleeper and observers wavered briefly, halted by the unity of Arya and Nahir. The city shimmered, stabilized, anchored by the strength of the bridge. Unity against cosmic forces. Together, Arya and Nahir formed a channel of energy stronger than the sleeper and observers anticipated. Silver light cascaded through Babylon, connecting every ward, street, and citizen into the bridge. The sleeper and observers hesitated, waves of energy retreating slightly. They had not anticipated such perfect synchrony of will, city, and cosmic anchor. Arya's eyes softened but remained resolute. We hold the cycles. We hold Babylon. We endure. The turning star pulsed fiercely above, anchoring reality. The sleeper and observers' waves dissipated, retreating into the desert. The city calmed, wards glowing faintly. A cosmic pause. The city slept peacefully. Citizens were unaware of the ultimate confrontation. The wards shimmered softly, holding strong. Arya and Nahir stood atop the temple of Nannar, exhausted yet vigilant. The sleeper rests for now, Arya whispered, but it is eternal, patient, aware, and now watched by cosmic entities. We must remain vigilant. Nahir glanced at the silver feather. We will be ready. Whatever comes, we face it together. Arya nodded. Always, together, we remain the bridge. The horizon beyond Season 1. As dawn painted Babylon in gold and silver, faint ripples shimmered in the distant desert. Unlike before, these ripples carried intent, a deliberate sign that the sleeper's evolution continues, guided by unseen observers. The next convergence, it will surpass anything we've faced, Arya said softly. We must expand the bridge, deepen the turning star connection, and prepare for what's coming. Nahir nodded. Whatever comes, we face it together. The turning star glimmered one final time, stabilizing the cycles. Beneath the sands, the sleeper rested, dreaming quietly, patient, aware, while new cosmic forces observed. Season 2 tease. Far beyond Babylon, in the shadowed corners of the cycles, new ripples emerged, subtle distortions, faint energies, and hints of cosmic beings yet unseen. The sleeper's evolution is only one thread of a greater tapestry. New forces are stirring, drawn to the turning star, patient, curious, intelligent, and possibly hostile. Arya and Nahir gazed toward the horizon, feeling the weight of their role. The cycles continue, Arya whispered. The bridge remains vigilant, but other awakenings, other threats are coming. The desert shimmered, the outer gate pulsing faintly, and the turning star glimmered, a silent promise that the story is far from over. Babylon's guardians were awake, the sleeper patient, and new cosmic mysteries awaited. The next convergence would come. Season 2 would test everything they knew, and the bridge would stand ready.